There we go. That looks right. What's up, everybody? Kyle the Drink Pro here with you again. I see Trevor's in the chat. I see Bourbon Ballers in the chat. Yes, I am fashionably late as usual. Right, we're going to have some 4-gate stuff, but first I'm going to drink a little bit of Dan Kidd's 2 o'clock chugs while we warm up here. And I'll tell you something kind of fun. This may look like normal Dan Kidd's 2 o'clock chugs. It is not. This Dan Kidd's 2 o'clock chug is much darker than his normal juice. I recently filmed a video with Dan after aging this bottle and a couple others in my mini barrel. And those bottles, half were from Dan, half I bought. And we got 3 bottles out of them. 1 for him, 1 for me. A little bit of extra, 3 and some change. And this one, that I will be giving away on my Instagram at The Drink Pro. So if you aren't following me on Instagram, I would definitely start. It's going to be pretty neat once these get up. Should be a good time. I'll post a video of Dan and I tasting this together here in the near future, next week or two, and some teaser content of me making this stuff. So, you know, those you early birds here in the chat will have a chance to get one of those. All right, I've got a couple of 4-gate products we're going to taste in the very near future. Hopefully we'll get a few more people joining the stream here as we move along. I don't know if other people are doing any streaming tonight. You know, I try to pick Thursday and kind of carve myself out for a little slot, but a lot of people seem to like doing stuff on Thursdays, making other kinds of content, so we'll see. But yeah, I mean, I like this stuff. You'll see my notes on it later. I'm not going to dwell on it for too long, but should be good. Definitely oakier. Definitely oakier than the original. Okay. Let me sip a little water. So yeah, the Dan Kidd 2 o'clock chugs. The barrel-aged version, that's going to be coming out in the near future. Also, this is going to be one of the last live streams. Not the last, but one of the last live streams in this space. Never mind this curtain. This curtain back here. But tomorrow, we are closing on a house. Finally, after much ado and turmoil, Yolanda and I are buying a home. So we're going to close on it tomorrow, get the keys tomorrow, put in our 60 days notice on the rental, and we'll be homeowners. Or at least the bank will own a home that we are paying the bank back for. So I will take it. I'm excited about it. There's going to be a really fun space in that home for Drink Pro content, for live streams, for filming videos. It should be a good time. You guys will see that process, especially my patrons. I'll go ahead and shamelessly plug my Patreon. If you're not a member of the Patreon, definitely consider joining it, because the entire process of creating the Drink Pro space will be documented on the Patreon. Some of it will be for general audience consumption, but a lot of it will be Patreon exclusive, because I don't want to edit that video. That's basically why. So you'll get the unedited, sometimes rough around the edges takes of me trying to make a drinking space in this new home. Maybe a tour too. Maybe I'll give you guys a tour. Anyway, I should leave that up there for longer, but I don't like leaving it up there. Just go there. Just go there and do the thing. Okay. But yeah, I'm really excited about it. Took the day off from work tomorrow. Gonna get a couple of bottles. On a related note, I have started doing private tastings. I am now a hired gun tasting whiskey and giving my notes and sharing pours with people. I've done a couple of them in, one-off situations in the past, but I got my first sort of major client that I'll be coming up in the near future here. I've been buying some bottles that are more expensive than bottles I typically buy, and trying to prep a really fun tasting event with custom glassware, custom cocktails, whiskey tasting. So if you need that kind of work done, feel free to reach out to me, thedrinkpro@gmail.com. I'll happily talk with you about getting something together and give you some price quotes and have a lot of fun, man. It's great to do those kinds of tastings. I really enjoy tasting whiskey with people, especially people who know they like whiskey but may want to explore it further. It's really cool stuff. So I'm excited about the future, man. The future is bright, and 2 o'clock chugs is not really meant to be sipped. So tasty. That really is best consumed that way. Did I not bring in any water? Oh, it's literally right here on the table. I like to rinse out my glasses. I got glasses for all the 4-gate samples here in front of me. But this is, I'm going to do, before I get to the 4-gate, I know I did a little preface with this 2 o'clock chugs, but a friend of mine, Chris, now there's a lot of Chris's in my life for some reason. There's a lot of Chris's in my life for some reason or another. So this is from Chris. How do I identify him without identifying? This is from Chris R. How about that? Chris R. Has provided me with this sample of a store pick from Big Red Liquors. So y'all Indiana people know Big Red Liquors. They did a store pick not too long ago. I'll actually pull up my phone and show you guys the bottle. Because it's a pretty well-known brand. And you probably will recognize it. It's not a big brand, but people have seen this before. And of course, it won't focus. There it is. Savage and Cook. This kind of branding is pretty common. Savage and Cook. This is 100% Grenache finish from Big Red Liquors. It's 56.5% alcohol. It's barrel 74, I think. Chris got that for $10. That's normally like a $60 or $70 bottle, but they were on hyper clearance, so it was $10. And he asked me if I knew anything about it. I said I've never had that particular one. I know they make some weird stuff. Savage Cook, the wine people. That's exactly right. It's a Grenache finish. I didn't know much about it, but I knew $10 is $10, so I said, what the hell? You should definitely buy it. He bought it and said it's definitely worth $10, so I'm going to try it. Trevor says, Gaze did a pick of some blend of that stuff, but it was finishing like 3 wines and wasn't good. Yeah, this is just finishing Grenache barrels. And I'll tell you what, on the nose, it's beautiful. It's very... I mean, you can smell that... Bert Muller says there's a reason it's on clearance. Well, I think people have a bad reputation. They have, they've had bad experiences with this in the past. And that might be why they didn't buy this particular single barrel pick by Big Red. But the nose on this is beautiful. I mean, it's... You wouldn't guess this is Grenache finish, to be honest. It's super sweet. I get a lot of... I get like grape cotton candy. You get this hint of grape from the wine, I assume, but it's very subtle. But it's got that light sweetness. Nate and Phone Doctor 123 are in the chat. Cheers, guys. I mean, the wine presence on this is really subtle. And it's subtle in a really nice way. Nice grape. Nice, like, sweet cinnamon, like Red Hots. You can smell that it's 55+%. The alcohol shows up for sure. I'm trying to get more notes out of it. Definitely a lot of spices. Oh, there we go. Okay, now we're drinking whiskey. Whew. Yeah, lots of baking spices on this, though. I get a little bit of like a toffee. Yeah, I get like chocolate and toffee. Tons of cinnamon. A little bit of A little bit of maybe like nutmeg. Nate was watching the NBA draft. What a waste of time. Come watch me drink whiskey instead. I mean, this is a beautiful nose. Like, we'll see how it tastes. I mean, it might taste like garbage, but, you know, I don't know if it's worth $70 on the nose, but it's freaking definitely worth 10. Uh-oh, we've got a little dog coming to visit. Little ankle biter with no teeth to bite. She just wants mama. She doesn't want me. I'm really trying to find more of that wine influence. Like, I'm seeking it out, but it's just not very present. The wine is super subtle on this. And I can't say I'm mad about it. I'm pretty happy with that, you know, honestly. Like, I mean, I like the wine to show up a little bit, but Earl Holt says, yeah, drinking whiskey, I think it's better than the draft. I got to agree. I got to agree. Uh-oh. Here we go. You smell this? You don't like it? Okay. What are you doing here? This is not a place for squirts. You're still under 18. 21 in the U.S. This is not a place for squirts. You're still underage, lady. Go to your room. Gotta keep them in line. But yeah, there's really not much of a note here of great. We're losing people left and right. The dog was scaring off people. That's fine. All right, let's taste this stuff. I mean, it's fine. It's nothing to write home about. I think people were really turned off by this because it has a little bit of an acrid finish. And a lot of people associate that flavor with vomit. And so they won't like this. And it kind of lingers in the back of your throat. Front of the palate is really dry. It's oaky. It's bitter in like a walnut nutty, maybe like peanut shell bitter way. Mid palate, again, you get this sort of like baker's chocolate or like heavy cacao chocolate. And it gets slightly sweeter and slightly nuttier, almost like pistachios and cashews. But then at the very end of the palate, seriously down here, down in my throat, or the very back of my palate, there's this, there's a slightly acrid vomit flavor. That's actually a pretty common flavor in whiskey that's made incorrectly or finished and aged incorrectly. So it's a real chance that Savage and Cook are trying to do something and maybe not really succeeding. But, you know, if I were to put this in something, 90 to 95% of the profile, up until that very, very, very last thing, is pretty solid. It's dry, it's oaky, a little bit nutty, a little bit sweet, just a hint of sweetness underneath all of it. But on the whole, it's not bad except for that finish. So, you know, I'm torn about this because, again, for those of you who have just showed up, I am tasting this right here. It's a single barrel Savage and Cook barrel picked by Big Red Liquors, 100% Grenache finished. What's up, Richie? So, you know, this is a local store pick of Savage and Cook finished in Grenache, which is a wine, a red wine. I mean, the nose is beautiful, but the palate is very dry oak, a little bit of nuttiness, and then this sort of acrid finish that is taking away from it. Brian Toner says, such as... Not sure what he's talking about. I'm guessing he might be mentioning what could you do to it to make it not terrible. You need something where the finish is going to be prominent. The thing that comes to mind for me immediately is you could mix this with coffee, where the bitterness would help counteract the acrid. So you could make a really good Irish coffee with this, or Kentucky coffee as the case might be. You could make a pretty good Kentucky Mule with this. I think the dryness and the nuttiness would actually be a really good complement to ginger beer, which is already very sweet and herbal. And the ginger is really strong on ginger beer, so it finishes ginger. And it would drown out that relatively quiet but definitely present acrid vomit flavor. So I actually have another sample of this. I think in the future I will do a video about it and talk about ways to utilize whiskey that may have something in it you really don't care for. Because I think there's a lot of techniques you can use, and I've talked about some of them in my videos, I've talked about some of them in my live streams, but I haven't really been very targeted. I've never been like, this is specifically what I'm trying to do, is use this not very good whiskey or unpleasant for some specific reason whiskey in a way that will make it good, or good enough. Brian Toner says a flaming mo. I mean, you know, I've drank a lot of whiskey on this show, and you've seen me not finish a lot of pours, and I'm finishing this. So, like, yeah, it's got that weird vomit finish, but it's so subtle. You gotta be looking for it. And if you don't let it get to that very finish, you just keep taking little sips, you'll never notice, because it never shows up. Never let it linger long enough to actually taste like vomit. Honestly, not that bad. Honestly, if I saw that bottle for $10, I would buy it. At the very least, I like cocktails. I like making mixed drinks, and I don't usually want to use my good whiskey for it. And this has enough unique characteristics that aren't your standard, like, JTS Brown, sweet, smooth, simple, bottom shelf whiskey, that if I want a $10 whiskey to make a decent cocktail with, I'm betting this would do it. We'll make that video another time. Thank you. Big thanks to Chris R. for that one. Now, 17 minutes, 18 minutes in, let's get to these 4-gate pours. Now, once again, I have foolishly not prepared very well for this live stream. So, What do you need? Nothing that you can help me with at this point. So I am going to use the old Google machine to pull up information on these 4-gate batches. Now I will tell you, here's what I've got in front of me. I've got 4-gate batch 4, split stave. I've got 4-gate batch 6. I've got 4-gate number 9, and I've got 4-gate batch 12 Kelvin 3. So that's what's in front of me. That's what we're drinking. 4-gate is serious whiskey, says Richie. Yes, it is. We're going to be drinking some serious whiskey tonight. Nate is going to be having a dry night because he drank loads of free whiskey on a business trip. Well, good for you, Nate. All right, let's talk about 4-gate batch 4, the split stave here real quick. Now, again, these are all between $175 $200. This particular pour was a Kentucky and Tennessee only release, so it's hard to get your hands on. It's finished in split stave barrels, obviously, which, let's see if they talk about what split staves are. Because I think what they mean is that they're using staves, yeah. So they created, this is what they've done. So they took number 2 and number 4 charred casks, they dismantled them, and then they alternated between the staves. So they had some that were toasted and number 2 chars, and they had some that were toasted and number 4 chars, but all of them were toasted first. Which, if you haven't experienced, the toasting process warms them up before you char them and actually pulls out extra sugar. That's how you can often get some really deeply sweet caramel flavors that really don't exist in a lot of bourbons anymore. Now, Foregate was started by Bill Straub and Bob D'Antoni. Bill Straub is the Modern Thirst editor-in-chief. They started in 2018. They were trying to just be a non-distiller producer. So they're just focusing on sourcing barrels. They're doing a lot of what Old Carter does and a lot of other companies like this. And again, the reason that this is a Kelvin and the reason that the batch 12 is Kelvin 3 is they're sourcing from Kelvin cooperage, one of the biggest cooperages in the country. And it's cool that they're doing this sort of split save technique. They're getting some of that barrel 4 char and some of that 2 barrel char, both of them being toasted. I expect a lot of oakiness on this pour. So one of the things that what I'm reading from is telling me is that this is a blend of 5.5 and 12-year-old bourbon that was finished for 5 months. One of the mash bills is 78, 10, 12. That's the 5.5 year, and the 12 year is 74, 18, 8. So if you are a mash bill, what do you call it? Hound dog? If you're a mash bill hound, you could probably figure out where those two are coming from. I'm not going to spend the time trying to figure that out. But the internet will help you. The internet will tell you where that's from. All right, what else we got here in the chat? Nate really enjoyed the 12. Trev gave me 4 and 6. He said, isn't gate number 9 Kelvin 2? I don't honestly know. Bourbon Baller says, yeah, he doesn't have any 4 gate. He's tried it and it's great, but it's spendy. It definitely is spendy, which is actually part of why I wanted to do this tonight. I wanted to say, okay, these are $175, $200 bottles. That's a lot of freaking money. Like, $200 a bottle, I'm sorry, it better be amazing. And I've heard a lot of great things, especially from Trevor, about 4-Gate. Well, I want to find out for myself if I believe 4-Gate is worth $200 a bottle. If anything from 4-Gate could be worth $200 a bottle. That's a hell of a price point. I've never tasted anything from 4-Gate that I recall. I'm sure I have drinking with Trevor, but some of those nights are a little bit hazy. Tony's in the chat. What's going on, Tony? So we're going to find out tonight with a mostly sober mind if I like anything from 4-Gate. Brian Toner sipping a Jack Daniel's Select Single Barrel at 62.9%. Great pour. Love the Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Selects. And the barrel proof ones, even better. People always shit on Jack Daniel's, man. Get one of those bottles and then tell me Jack Daniel's doesn't know how to make good whiskey. They do. They just don't sell it to most people. Trevor said they use quality whiskey and finish it. They don't use the crappy stuff to hide the flaws. Doesn't mind spending money on it. Big win. I've only had batch 12 and it was delicious. Well, I've got batch 12 right here, so I look forward to seeing if I think batch 12 is delicious too. Nate agrees. Batch 12 is really nice. Richie Z says, the Drink Pro, do you go by a name, brother? Apologies if I don't know yet. I think you're asking me what my name is, and my name is Kyle. You can call me the Drink Pro or Kyle or Hey Jackass. I'll respond to all three. All right, let's get to pouring. Trevor likes Mash Bill Hound. Alrighty. Oh, so we're going to go with the batch 4, which is the split stave I just explained, between, they're both toasted. All of the staves are toasted, and then it's split between number 2 char and number 4 char. Number 4 is alligator char, I believe. Well, since I'm using the Google machine pretty heavy tonight, let me make sure I'm right about that. Want to give you guys good information. I don't know why I'm singing right now. The reason I've gotten confused, honestly, is because Parker's did that frickin' heavy char where they did the number 5 char, which I don't think is normally a thing. Like, I'm pretty sure number 5 char is... Yeah. Number 5 char is some nonsense that they came up with to make a Parker's thing. And number 4 is what people know as alligator char. And it's alligator char because there's literally hunks of char that are ready to come off of the barrel that look like alligator scales on their back. There you go. If you didn't know. Yeah, it's Mr. Jackass, says Nate. That's right. Oh. 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 Whoa. Oh, boy, the nose on this one, guys. Holy shit. Oh, it's so good. Oh. Oh, I wasn't ready. I was not prepared. Holy crap. 115.6 proof. This is bottle 1656, opened 7/5/20. I think this is Trevor's handwriting. That sure looks like Trevor's handwriting. Trevor, is this you? Oh, God, it is. Oh, it's so good. Yolanda's in the chat. What's up, Yolanda? This thing is so rich and sweet. I talked before about how the toasting process can bring out a lot of extra sugars. This is just incredibly sweet. It is big, rich caramel and honey. I get a little bit of cinnamon, a lot of like raisin, which is not a fruit I pull a lot. I get like blackberry pie or blackberry cobbler. Oh, this is incredible. If this tastes as good as it smells, we might have already answered the damn question. If you're just joining, the question was, are any 4-gates actually worth $200? Because that's a hell of a price point. But I about had an orgasm live on camera there. Almost gonna have to go up on OnlyFans pretty close. I should start an OnlyFans. I bet people would pay for that. Watching a big man drink whiskey in a bathtub naked. People would pay to watch that stuff. Isaac Sanford. How'd they get the raisin in there, though? Great question, Isaac. You came in at the perfect time. I was talking about starting an OnlyFans, which I probably shouldn't talk about. Oh. Yeah, I mean, that's actually... So I'll address this. Isaac says he'd pay. Well, Isaac, you can pay for my Patreon. It's only $3 a month. Patreon.com/thedrinkpro. There's tons of bonus content. And you'll see me try to make a room in my house that I'm going to be buying tomorrow with Yolanda. Make it a whiskey den. So that's something that I'm going to be trying to do. We'll see how it goes. But I'm going to be posting a whole hell of a lot of content on my Patreon specifically about turning a room in that house into my whiskey den. So that'll be fun times. But I want to go back to Isaac's question here for a minute because it's actually a really good question. People don't think a lot about where those notes are coming from in a whiskey, in a bourbon or a scotch. You know, people know pretty commonly where the smoky peatiness and Islay comes from in the Scotch world because it's been explained many times that you burn the earth to dry the grain that then is distilled and turned into the whiskey. And that flavor from that burning just continues through the whole process. But when you get down to the molecular level, you start talking about why does this smell like raisins? Why does this smell like blueberries? Why does this smell like orange, lemon? Vanilla. Vanilla is the easiest one because the name of the chemical that smells like vanilla is just called vanillin. So if you've got vanillin, then you'll smell vanilla. And there's a lot of these different molecules that can be pulled out of the oak or pulled out of the grain. And throughout the distillation and the aging process, different woods and different grains will yield different molecules that give you different flavors and different scents. So that's actually a really good question. The raisin is a particular molecule or series of molecules that present like a raisin note. And I don't honestly know which ones they are, but if you asked a chemist who specializes in food chemistry, for example, they might have an answer for you. There's a lot of companies that pay a lot of money. I spilled whiskey all over my keyboard. Guess I'm just going to wipe it on my shirt. We're high class over here at the Drink Pro. Oh, it almost knocked the whole table over. Perfect. Great start to the stream. Okay. if you ask one of these people that works at like Kraft Foods or one of these big conglomerate food companies, and they spend a lot of time making food products, they would have an answer for you. Isaac says that just raises more question. Richie says, Kyle, don't do OnlyFans unless there's a hot female involved. Just kidding. I don't know anything about that. It would definitely help. I think I would end up on like gay leather daddy OnlyFans, but what are you going to do? You got to play to your strengths, not your weaknesses, you know? I'll never be a hot female, but I could be a leather daddy. What am I doing? I'm 30 minutes into this stream. This is a mess. This is falling apart, guys. This thing smells so freaking good, though. I can't stop nosing it. After a little bit longer in this glass, we'll start to get some mintiness. I'm getting like mint julep vibes out of it. Oh, this is just phenomenal. All right, let's taste this. I've been sitting here nosing this for too long. It smells freaking delicious. Let's taste it. Okay. So, I don't like this as much on the palate as I do on the nose. But that is entirely a function of my flavor preferences. I'm gonna fucking break this table. I gotta stop. Isaac says, I'm sold, love the mint juleps. Yeah, man, I gotta get Isaac over here and have a mint julep. I haven't made a mint julep in too long, and I'm craving one. Isaac Ritchie just hasn't known the pleasure of farting and sniffing whiskey at the same time. That was that first pour I had. That smelled like that. It had an acrid flavor. That was the weird thing. Okay. Let me give you some notes on this. First off, very complex in a nice way. It's well balanced. Lots of oakiness up front. And this sort of dry, lingering sawdust mid-palate into the finish. Definite nuttiness, again. But it's a lot more in the almond category. There's an almondiness on the nuts. Trev says, I'm surprised you like toasted stuff, Kyle, for not liking oak. Yeah, this is oakier than I tend to like them. However, there are a lot of toasted products that present sweeter and less oaky. It's about how long you finish them and the environment. You know, one of the things I mentioned was that there was the number 4 char and the number 2 char in this particular pour. And I think that actually really does us a favor because for me, the 4 char is going to be too oaky. You do a toasted 4 char and you only put it in for 5 months, it's still going to be oakier than my personal preference. Now, if you like an oaky whiskey, it'll be great for you. But the 2 char, I've had a couple of toasted barrel products that had like a 1 or 2 char, pretty low chars on them, and I really liked them. And I think part of the reason is because when you toast it and then char it, I want a lighter char. So again, go back to the Parker's heavy char product. I don't believe they've toasted that. They just charred the absolute shit out of it. And because of that, it didn't have the same chemical reaction that a toasting and then a charring does. So the oak didn't overtake all of that beautiful sweet fruitiness that was coming out of the Parker's product without the heavier char. Isaac's going to hit up the Patreon. Much appreciated, Isaac. I appreciate you, my brother. If anybody else out there wants to hit up the Patreon, patreon.com/thedrinkpro. $3 a month is the lowest level. There's tons of content you're getting for $3 a month, by the way. It's not a donation, although donations are very happily accepted at my Venmo. But the Patreon's not a donation. It is a purchase of a very fun piece of content, in my mind. At the higher dollar levels, there's great opportunities for samples. Some of those have already gone out. There's great opportunities for quarterly merch and for opportunities to win bottles. If you're in the Patreon, you should check out the Saturday live stream that's coming this Saturday, August. I was wrong. It's not August 1st. I got to correct that. It's July 31st, Saturday. I didn't know how many days were in July. Embarrassing. But it is this Saturday, the 31st. I'll be doing a live stream to give away a bottle to a patron. So check it out. Anyway. Okay. So this number 4 This is batch 4. It's the split stave, half 2, half 4 char. You get a lot of what I would call background sweetness. You can tell there's a sweet flavor, but it's not in it's not the prominent taste. You get sweetness in the back of your palate almost, and then in front of the palate, very oaky, very, very oaky. But it's not a dry oak until the mid palate. At the beginning, it's a sweet oak. I always try to think of like what's a good example of that. Like if you've ever had like bourbon glazed salmon. Imagine a bourbon glazed salmon, and then that's like on a wood plank, and then get rid of all the salmon flavor. I know that's a weird mental gymnastic approach to tasting notes, but that smoked, woody, sweet glaze combination collapsing away the salmon, that's what I'm getting on this. A bourbon glazed salmon on a plank, hold the salmon. It does finish a little drier than I'd like it to. The oak is just prominent throughout the whole damn pour. But the finish, very, very dry oak. It does get a little black peppery, which is nice. I like that. The sweetness never really goes away, which I also like. This is a pour that you could pick apart. I think if you spent a couple hours with this pour, or with several of these pours, you'd find all kinds of interesting complexities, and it would just really hit you right. Brian left BRB, he said. I don't know where he's going. It looks like Richie is drinking something from Total Wine, maybe? Oh, yeah. It looks like there's this back and forth in the chat about Russells. There's a lot of really good Russells picks. Bourbon Baller says it's hard to beat the Parker's Char barrel, in my opinion. Honestly, I got to agree. I was ready to not like that pour because, like Trevor said, I don't typically like the heavier chars. But, man, that Parker's 10 heavy char, it did everything right. I don't know how, but they hit the nail on the head with that one. Nate's becoming a Maker's Mark fanboy. Yep, he definitely is. He sent me so many freaking pictures of Maker's Mark bottles. Okay, that's enough of that. At the end of this, by the way, we're going to go through all of them back to back and compare all 4 of these, and I'll tell you which one was my favorite. But for now, let's go ahead and get into this batch 6. Now, batch 4 was 115.6 proof. Batch 6 is meaningfully higher proof. Now, batch 6 is the Kelvin Collaboration 2. If I had realized all three of these 4 were Kelvin collaborations, I should have put that on the fucking stream thing. Thumbnail. That's what they're called. They're called thumbnails. Hi, I'm Kyle. I've been doing YouTube for over a year, and I don't know what a thumbnail is. So, batch 6, this is straight bourbon. It's finished in cognac and dark rum barrels. 12-year product, 74 corn, 18 rye, 8 barley. That's the second time I've seen that mash bill. Let me just look it up. Because I know I've seen that mash bill before. I think that might be Barton. That might be a 1792 mash bill. I mean, that would totally make sense. Yeah, that's a Barton mash bill. That would totally make sense because, Barton does a lot of sourcing. Hell, they're sourcing the new whiskey from Costco. So, that totally checks out. So this is very likely Barton. Oops. Fuck. I just closed the tab I was trying to read from. I gotta reopen the tab. Okay. Gotta make songs, So, 126.4 proof. This is a 12-year-old Barton distillate. It's finished in cognac and dark rum barrels, which is fun. They don't really have a lot of information on this particular website. They give a lot of tasting notes, which I won't go into and won't read because that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm going to give you my tasting notes. Fuck those guys' tasting notes. Oh, man. Yeah, they kind of give the same tasting notes as, or the same information about 4-Gate as what I've seen before. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba. Yeah, so this is a... I've already given you all the information. Nobody else has information on this. Great. Fred Minnick really liked it. This was his 2020 bottle of the year. Thanks, Fred. I don't actually have anything against Fred. If it sounded like I had something against Fred, I don't have anything against Fred. But when Fred says a bottle's good, it becomes hard to find. He's become a force. He was always a force. Now he's become a stronger force. He has increased his hurricane ranking. He's no longer a hurricane 1. He's a hurricane 3. Something. Pouring out the whiskey. Yeah. Okay. Isaac says, what time on Saturday? Probably 8:30. I gotta clarify that on my Patreon. I'll put a post up there so people know what the hell I'm doing. My plan is at 8 o'clock or 8:30 on Saturday, giving away at least 1 bottle of whiskey. Maybe 2. I might give away 2. I gotta move. I got too much shit to move out of this house. I have to give away a couple bottles of whiskey. Isaac liked the bourbon glaze on a plank note for sure. Brian Toner's back too. What's up, Brian? Everybody left and then everybody came back. I love you. I love you guys for coming back. Thank you so much. Nate says the Kelvin Collab 1 and 2 were the winners of Finished Whiskey of the Year. And then Batch 6 topped a lot of lists, Trevor says. And then Richie says, Kyle, do you have a current whiskey of the year? Mine is Maker's FAEL1, but I haven't tried much. I think that's haven't tried much. You got Nate says, you got 2 wrenches. You got to give away 2 bottles, 1 for each. Yeah. Nate, you've had plenty of bottles from me. Do I have a current whiskey of the year? That's a great question, Richie. That is a great question. Man, do I have a whiskey of the year? See, part of the problem, it's not really a problem, but part of what is going on for me is it's difficult to name a whiskey of the year because a lot of the whiskeys that I get the opportunity to try are not from this year. People send me stuff that's from all different years. When I go to people's houses, they have stuff that's from all different years. So it's hard for me to say like the 2020 or the 2021 whiskey of the year. See, Bourbon Baller, yeah, he says, my whiskey of the year is Old Forester Barrel Strength Rye. That is a whiskey I have yet to try, but I've heard nothing but great things about. I do typically like the Old Forester Barrel Strength, so I suspect I would feel that same way, or at least put it up there in my ranking. So I gotta get me a pour of that, Bourbon Baller, and we'll find out. Nate says Calumet 15. I like Calumet 15. I don't think it'd be in my Bourbon of the Year or Whiskey of the Year. You know what? I just remembered this, and this is going to be next week's video, so keep an eye out for this. Redbreast 27. The Redbreast 27 Batch 2. This is the Ruby Port Finish Batch 2. I haven't seen any other reviews of it, with one exception. That was a relatively small channel. My size. I'm relatively small too, so I'm not shitting on them. We're just small channels. That's how it is. We're trying to grow. But the taste that I had of that with Akeem the Dream, who may be in the chat or may not be, he shows up even more fashionably late than Nate does. But the Redbreast 27 Batch 2 was the best whiskey maybe I've ever tried. Maybe? At the very least, it was the most unique whiskey I've ever tried, and then meant that in a good way. It was so fucking good. And you'll see when I do my review of it. I haven't done it yet. I haven't filmed it yet. But that's coming up next week. And the Ruby Port, man, that 27-year Redbreast is unbelievable. It's very hard for me to say that a whiskey that's $500 a bottle is worth it. That one's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth $500 a bottle. I never imagined saying that. But you're right. It's a totally valid question, Richie. I just have a hard time thinking about it. I would say my best bourbon. My best bourbon might be the 13-year Russell's. Not the Standard, the Father and Son release. That was international only. That was really, really freaking good. Okay. I'm going to answer, Isaac, your question in just a minute. But first, I want to get some nosing notes on this batch 6. This is the rum and... what was it? Rum and cognac? Is that what it was finished in? I don't even friggin' remember. Yeah, cognac and rum. Okay, here we go. I typically like those finishes, so I expect this to be good. Ooh, man, that is beautifully sweet. Oh, my goodness. Now, go back and smell the 4. Yeah, the 4 smells like oak and dust now. Oh. Oh, man. My goodness. Okay. I don't know how this is going to taste, but the noses on these 4... if you are, like, nose-centric, a lot of people either pick based on the smell or pick based on the taste. Very few people actually pick based on both of them, and you don't even maybe realize that. But this thing just smells like freaking candy. Like, I get orange... I get, like, orange Starburst. I get, like, cherry Jolly Ranchers. I get whiskey in my mustache. My gosh. I definitely get eucalyptus. It's got this sort of minty zing to it. This is a beautiful whiskey. Beautiful whiskey. I also get I get a lot of nutmeg on this one as well. I mentioned nutmeg before. This has got like real pumpkin spice vibes, like a pumpkin spice latte. Trevor said you can get a lot of help moving that whiskey collection, huh? Oh yeah, I bet I can. Again, getting in the mustache. I'm putting it up too high on the nose. I gotta put my head down, but I want to look at y'all and read the chat. Man. I get like real significant navel orange vibes. Now, this is 12-year-old whiskey. And it smells like 12-year-old whiskey. It's got enough oak on the nose that you know it's 12. But there's so much sweetness. But it doesn't smell like rum or cognac, which is interesting and difficult to achieve. You know, one of the things I don't typically like about those finished products is that they just smell like the thing you finished them in. But when you blend it like this, you get sort of this beautiful, the sweetness from the rum shows up, the slight fruitiness from the cognac shows up, and some of the sweetness, but they combine together to give you this big, fruity, sweet flavor. Or nose, at the very least. Getting lots of, like, plums and black pepper. A little bit of grape, but it's pretty subtle. Help with everything besides the Bookers that can stay behind, said Bourbon Baller. That's funny. Trevor, I love pumpkin spice latte. Maybe that's why I love batch 6. It might be. All right, let's taste this thing. Actually, while I taste this, I'm going to answer Isaac's question. He said, so if the pour is so multifaceted, it sounds like it's worth the money. How long can you usually spend with a pour? Great question. They make oaky stuff. No question about that. This may be the perfect opportunity for a special toy. I should call it a tool. It's a special tool. It's a special tool. This was a gift. Oops, hit the mic. Sorry, guys. This was a gift from Yolanda. Angel Share Glass, made in Scotland. It's got a nice little box and a nice little kit. Eric says, all right, I got to go. You were awesome, man. Thank you. Thank you so much, Earl. Thank you for joining. Thank you for watching. Please consider subscribing. Have a good night, my brother. It's got a nice little barrel stave sitting place. It's got a nice little Glencairn in which I will put water. And try not to make too big of a mess. I'll wipe it on my shirt once again. And then finally, the piece de resistance is this nice little glass dropper with a pot still on top. Focus on the pot still and not me, please. There you go. Put your thumb right there. Okay. The reason I'm doing this... Richie says, what is a serious whiskey collection? Let me answer Isaac's question first. Isaac, how long can I spend with a pour? So I will define a pour as 2 ounces of whiskey because that is up to the widest point in the glass of the Glencairn. That's sort of an easy measurement that you can rely on. So you don't have to actually pull out a measuring cup. Just pour to the widest point in the Glen. That's 2 ounces. That is a standard pour of whiskey. If you give me 2 ounces of whiskey and it's something that's really complex and worth exploring and unique, I'll spend at least between 30 and 45 minutes with it. Now, people can spend hours with them. I know people that do that. But I take big sips, and oftentimes, in particular, when it's something I really like, if it's something I'm not sure if I like or not and it's complex, I could probably spend an hour with it. But if I like it, it goes down too quick. I just have to keep going back for more tastes. So we're going to pull out a little bit of water because this is quite hot. This is hotter than I would probably want to drink this. 126.4 proof is pretty high proof. Some people are just proof mongers. They love the proof. But for me, I'm going to actually put a little bit of water in it. Just a touch. That's like about half of a cap of a water bottle. That's about how much water I put in that. If you want an easier, less fancy method of measuring. Yeah, and on the nose, you can smell that really opened it up. It was very dense on the nose before. And now I have a lot more blueberry and raspberry. Some of the notes that I really liked are a little bit softer. That dense caramel sweetness is gone. But it's become so berry forward that I really like it. Let's see. So, Richie, Kyle, what is a serious whiskey collection? I'm talking bottles. That is a tough question to answer because here's the thing. If you have 10 bottles, but each of those 10 bottles is a freaking hitter, then you've got a serious whiskey collection. And if you have 20 bottles and all of them are bottom mid-shelfers, that might not be a serious whiskey collection. I think I would have a really hard time putting a number to the word serious. I would say, to me, you have a large whiskey collection if you have 50 or more bottles. That if I have to draw a line in the sand, 50. 50 or more is a large whiskey collection. And if you are wondering, yes, I have a large whiskey collection. Isaac says, if we move it physically, I can help. If we move it gastrically, I'll be passed out on the floor in about half an hour. Yes, we will be moving it physically. And I'll share a couple of pours afterwards. Not enough to put you on the floor, but enough to make you giggle uncontrollably for some reason. How about that? All right, let's taste this with a little bit of water added. Yeah, it's still super oaky. These guys must really prefer oakier profiles. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just not my preference. This one does have a lot more sharp sweetness, and I think a lot of that is attributable to the rum. The rum really shows up on this pour. But because it's a dark rum, I think this is really important. When you see a rum finish, a lot of times it will get you this too, not astringent, what's the word I'm looking for? It almost feels like an alcohol burn. It's got this really sharp, unpleasant flavor. A lot of that is white rum, or rum that isn't spiced at the very least. I think there's something going on with this. Bourbon Baller says, I have an excessive collection. It's really too big, but over 100 open bottles. Yeah, I feel that. Richie says, fair answer. And then he says, and Isaac says, ooh, so fancy. Oh yeah, we fancy over here. And the more I taste this, I gotta say, yeah, you pick up more and more. These are great complex pours. Ooh. So I get a little bit of like vanilla pudding in the mid palate. There's a definite sort of sweet. Up front, you definitely get that oakiness. It's actually a little bit drier oak up front than the batch 4 gate. A lot more black pepper in the mid palate. That vanilla really shows up in the mid palate. I get a lot more cinnamon in the mid palate. Long finish on this. It lingers for a long time. And it's lightly oaked and mostly black pepper on this long finish. Richie says, open everything unless you want to save or sell a bottle. I think he probably does. Most of us probably do. Nate can't keep stuff closed. Hey, nothing wrong with that. I know he got a Redbreast 27. He wanted to keep closed and couldn't help himself. He knows what I was talking about with that pour, though. Nate says he buys faster than he drinks. I think most people in the chat who are buying lots of bottles are buying faster than they drink. Unless you're just crushing bottles, which I do not do. Where'd all my whiskey go? Man, that keeps getting better. It just got super, like, fruity on the front of the palate. Like, huh. Well, you know, I only poured half of it. You can't tell. This bottle's too dark. I only poured half of it. I'm going to have to revisit that pour. I'm going to probably finish it, but I'm going to wait until I can go through all 4 of them again because I want to move to the 4-gate number 9. Now, somewhere I've got a picture of this, and I believe... Oh, 4-gate batch 6 also, I believe, was from Trevor. But 4-gate batch 9, I believe, is from Nate. I think. Excuse me. It could also be from Akeem the Dream. I'm not sure. Actually, I think it is from Akeem the Dream. Let me check. Let me check my phone right quick. Much appreciated, Isaac. Thank you so much for joining the Patreon, my brother. Really do appreciate it. Every amount helps. Everybody, if you got $3 burning a hole in your pocket and you want to help me out, patreon.com/thedrinkpro. $3 might not seem like a lot of money. It isn't a ton of money. It's buying me a drink once a month from the bottom shelf, but it makes a big difference. Helps me keep making this show. So I really appreciate it. Okay, let me see if I can find the photo of this bottle, because I would swear it's in here somewhere. Actually, I think I just posted something on my Instagram about it. What do we got here? What's going on? Here we go. Yeah, this is... Okay, so this one came from Akeem the Dream. Shout out to Akeem. There you go. This is the one I've got. Batch 9. Andalusia key? I better type that in because the internets didn't know what the hell I was talking about. Andalusia key. Oh, okay. 4gatewhiskey.com is a pretty good website. If you didn't know, now you know. I didn't know. So, batches 7 and 8 were unfinished. Batch 9 is 3 different Kentucky straight bourbons, aging them in dark rum casks from the Florida Keys, and then blending 2 straight Kentucky bourbons and finishing them in Oloroso sherry cask from the Andalusia region of Spain. That's why it's called Andalusia Key. Aha! So they had 6-year Kentucky straight bourbon that was 78, 10, 12. They had 9-year Kentucky Straight Bourbon that was 75, 13, 12. And they had 12-year-old Kentucky Straight Bourbon that was 74, 18, 8. So again, 12-year-old Barton coming in again. Let's just go ahead and look up these mash bills. Why the hell not, right? 78, 10, 12. 78, 10, 12. That's probably Elijah Craig. Elijah Craig. So that's Heaven Hill. So you got 12-year-old Barton. You've got 6-year-old Heaven Hill. And then I know I've seen 75, 13, 12, but I just can't remember it. And my computer is freaking out and doesn't want me to remember it, apparently. Oh, boy. Okay, now I've spilled water all over the keyboard. Like, all over the keyboard. We're going to shake it out. And hopefully I didn't ruin it. If Yolanda can hear me, I'd really appreciate it if she'd grab me a napkin or some paper towels. Oh, boy. I made a real mess, boys. Rubbing it on my body. Oh, this is why I can't have nice things. We're going to set that keyboard upside down over there. Freaking hell. Oh, I'm right next to a bathroom. I got towels. So, it looks like we've got 2 different mash bills that are probably Heaven Hill. And then we got 1 mash bill that's Barton. So we've got number 9. This is chaos. Holy crap. So the number 9 is 12-year-old Barton, and then 6-year-old low rye Heaven Hill and 9-year-old high rye Heaven Hill. This is how we make a drinking show. We wipe down our keyboards with a towel when you spill all your water from your stupidly fancy water dropper on them. Feel like the king here. Here we go. Oh, and those are just the mash bills in the dark rum. Holy shit, this thing's got 5 different mash bills. So the 6, the 9, and the 12 that I just listed are only the ones that are finished in dark rum. The Oloroso Sherry finish are a 9-year from Heaven Hill, 75, 13, 12, and a 12-year Barton, 74, 18, 8. Then it's all blended together. Non-chill filtered, 121.2 proof. They made 1309 bottles. So we're what's going on in the chat here? Lots of things going on in the chat. Bourbon Baller's got some temperature store for the bottles he can't keep at home. Trevor can't decide what pours to have. Bourbon Baller is trading to get difficult stuff. Nate gave me batch 12. I figured that out. Akeem the Dream gave me 9. Brian's giving bottles away. Hey, Brian, give me some pours. Brian Toner giving bottles away. Nate loves trading. Patreon is good value. That's right, Trevor. Patreon is a great value. Nate loves batch 9. Richie's giving bottles. All these people giving bottles away. Congratulations for being so generous. That's good. I'm glad to hear that. I love seeing generosity among my whiskey drinkers. Which is why I shamelessly plug my Patreon when I get the chance, because your generosity of $3 a month helps me make this channel and keep doing stupid shit like pouring whiskey on my keyboard by accident. Trevor really enjoys Barton. Maybe that's why he likes Foregate. It really could be. Patreon money will go towards a new keyboard this week. No joke, Trevor. If you want to donate to help me get a better keyboard, here's my Venmo, or a better table, because right now, this is my table. Yes, you're right. That is a piece of wood that I have put on top of a musical keyboard stand. We are high class over here. Anyway. Oh, man. Bourbon Baller has private whiskey tastings with barbecue. Hope you got one in September when I'm out there. Batch 9 hasn't opened it yet. He's interested in my thoughts. We will see if it's in my wheelhouse. I would love a batch 12 picture, Nate. Send me a batch 12 picture so I can have it. I mean, who doesn't pour whiskey on their keyboard, says Bourbon Baller. It happens. It happens. What are you going to do? All right, without further ado, let's try the batch 9. This is the most complicated blend yet. 5 different pours, Heaven Hill and Barton. 2 different finishes, Oloroso Sherry, and I don't even remember the other one. Dark rum. Oloroso Sherry and dark rum. Let's see how it goes. Akeem, what's going on, Akeem? Akeem showed up just in time because this is the pour that I picked up from Akeem. This is the 4-Gate Batch 9, and the name is really weird, and it's because it's a blend of whiskey aged in rum barrels from the Florida Keys and whiskey aged in Oloroso Sherry from Andalusia, Spain. So, perfect timing, Akeem. Richie asked, 4-Gate, is it an online bottle only? I've never seen it in California. So 4-Gate is actually, depends on which bottling. The Batch 9 was offered October 2020 in Kentucky, Tennessee, and Georgia, and also at sealbox.com. They actually tell you on the 4-Gate whiskey website where their whiskeys were available, but it's a relatively limited release. Akeem just picked up the newest Michter's 10 Rye, and it's very nice. Well, I look like I know where I'm stopping, over at Akeem's place. So, all right, that right there, just that smell makes me going to pour out this 6. Because the 6 had very similar ages, very similar finish, but not as much Heaven Hill. And I feel like the Heaven Hill is standing out for me, maybe not in a good way. Yeah. Yeah, the Heaven Hill brings a real grainy component to the batch number 9. The number 6, on the nose at least, on the nose, the batch 6 is beautifully sweet, creamy, fruity, just gorgeous. And the number 9 has a lot more nuttiness. That Heaven Hill nuttiness, that's a pretty common note people call out. I got a little bit of coffee, like a mocha. So coffee and chocolate. I got a little bit of hazelnut. Thank you, Nate. Yeah. Actually, that hazelnut is really prominent. I get real like hazelnut coffee from a gas station button pressy machine. Real technical terms, guys. I mean, again, it smells really nice, but it's definitely grainier and nuttier than the batch 6. The batch 6 is just sweet fruit all the way. Sweet fruit, sweet fruit, sweet fruit. But that's on the nose. Remember, the palate, for me, was oaky and nutty. So we'll see what the palate does on this. Akeem says he would like the Andalusia Key a lot more, which is what I'm drinking right now, the batch 9 4-Gate. A lot more if he didn't spend $200 on it. I get that. I'm really surprised how nutty this is. Maybe I shouldn't be because of all the Heaven Hill distillate, but I'm really surprised how nutty this is. Like, wait a minute now. Wait a minute now. What's the proof on this? What's the proof on batch 9? 121.2. All right, wait a minute now. Well, this is the weeded mash bill. I don't want that. All right. This is Heaven Hill. This is 127.2 Heaven Hill. $127.2. This is B520. Man, you can really smell that Heaven Hill. The Heaven Hill influence is really prominent on the batch 9. Holy crap. You go to the batch 6, and it's just... And the Barton note doesn't show up as much. You get tons more sugary fruitiness. And there's a little bit of that in Barton, but The Heaven Hill is straight up intrusive in this 4-gate batch 9. It overpowers, honestly, it even overpowers those finishes. And that doesn't really surprise me because the finishes on batch 4 in particular showed me how delicate their finishes are. These are not heavily finished whiskeys. It does not taste like straight up, like a straight up wine or cognac finish. It's subtle. Bourbon Baller, Heaven Hell, maybe a new bottle idea. Definitely a great label for a single barrel select Bourbon Baller. You get one of those Elijah Craigs, which I know you've got. Heaven Hell for that. I think Bourbon Baller might have a hazmat Elijah Craig coming in the mail. Heaven Hell would be a great label for that bad boy. Yeah, very nutty. Very honey forward. You really don't get hardly any of those finishes. I mean, I get a little bit of the sweetness. The rum sweetness shows up a little bit. And maybe a hint of the grape fruity sweetness from the Oloroso sherry. But honestly, the predominant note for me is Heaven Hill. That's so weird. And they don't tell you, on the website, they don't tell you the proportions. So I don't know how much 12-year, how much 9-year, how much 6-year, how much Oloroso, or how much of the rum finish is in this bottling. So it might smell like Heaven Hill because it's almost all Heaven Hill. Unclear. That's really good. Still heavy, still oaky, but not nearly as dry, and much more nutty. If you like oaky flavor, but you don't like dry oak, and you don't want to pour that's all oak, this is a really good interpretation. This may be my favorite thus far of the 4 gates because of my profile preferences. I like Heaven Hill, as this third shelf you can barely see suggests. Boop. It's all Heaven Hill. That whole shelf is Heaven Hill, and there's more in the back. Definitely Heaven Hill nuttiness. Isaac says coffee. I mean, on the nose, I definitely get that like hazelnut coffee. Bourbon Ballers get those big hitters coming. One of those should be Heaven Hell. I hope one of those is Heaven Hell, Bourbon Baller. Trevor, I can't remember how you feel about Heaven Hill, but I think you'd like this. I think you like Heaven Hill fine. Akeem says he liked it a lot more now, but on the first impression it wasn't good. Yeah, I can smell this and tell you this is probably something that had to open up for a while. Just based on the nose. It's super dense and off-putting, frankly, a little bit because it's so dense compared to the 4 and the 6, which were dense in the sense of having a lot packed in there, but not dense in the sense of being overwhelming to your senses when you first smell it. The Batch 9 4-gate was overwhelming when I first smelled it, for sure. Oh, now I got this in the shot. There we go. Almost. Yeah, there it is. Oops. There you go. I mean, it smells beautifully fruity, which is something I get from like Heaven Hill Wheated. But I think that's really coming from the finish of the sherry and the rum. That nice fruity nose. But the taste... Yeah, it's sweet. Again, you definitely get the sweet oak. I definitely get pecans, like pecan pie. Actually, there's a lot of pecan pie vibes. I get a little bit of like bready crumbly crumbs. I get pecans. I get brown sugar. It's oakier. It's like pecan pie cooked on a wooden plank. It's like you got rid of the salmon. No. It's like if you made a pecan pie over a campfire. Yeah. You make a pecan pie over a campfire. This is the profile. Almost exactly. Not a lot of black pepper on the finish. A lot more black pepper in the mid palate than some of these other earlier pours. Shorter finish. Shorter finish than both of the earlier pours. Relatively short finish. Well, you know what? I did it before. I might as well do it again. Let's add a touch of water to this. I didn't spill all of it. Just most of it. Isaac says 121 proof, so fire, tastes like fire, smells like burns. A lot of people like super high proof stuff. Isaac is not one of those people. But that's why I do this water technique. That's why I add a little bit of water, because it shows you what the whiskey would be like for somebody who, you can add a little bit of water to it and make it not as toasty. All right. Ooh. Ooh, 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 ooh. Yeah, 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 yeah. Adding the water brought the fruit out. Finally. I've been waiting for one of these freaking pours to actually taste like fruit, because they all smell like fruit. And now, you add a little bit of water to number 9, and you get some fruit notes. Now it's subtle. It's a subtle black currant, and maybe a hint of lemon zest, but it's there. Isaac is figuring it out. He's learning. Haha, charade you are, Isaac. Kyle's profile preferences are ouch. Trev says, I have liked all Elijah Craig barrel proofs, but one batch that was like a peanut shell and wasn't my favorite. Don't remember the batch. There were a few Bookers that have way too much peanut. Yeah, some of the recent Bookers have not been my favorite. Akeem is making fun of me. That's fine. Ooh, 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 ooh. Yeah, man, I like that one. Let me add a little bit more. Let's go for a little bit more. Then we'll do. Then we'll get into batch 12 here. Batch 12 is the Nate Special, so you know it's gonna be dangerous. Yeah, man, I dig that. I dig that. Heaven Hill knows how to make whiskey. Now I wonder if this keyboard still works. Whoa. If not, we may have to come up with something else to. You throwing out Animals lyrics? I might be. I'll throw out a different artist's lyric and say, "Bitch, I might be." Y'all can figure out whose lyrics those are. So here we go. The Kelvin 3 collaboration. Ugh, I hate the Bourbon Outfitter has a terrible website. They're reading on their website's impossible. Okay. So, now, batch 12, which is Kelvin collaboration Trace. This is a blend of 9-year and 12-year-old Kentucky straight bourbons finished in PX sherry and rum casks. The 9-year is a 75-13-12, so it's Heaven Hill. The 12-year is 74-18-8, so it's Barton. The secondary casks were originally used for mature PX sherry. Then they were used for dark rum. Then they were used for this bourbon. Interesting. The chief barrel officer, Bob D'Antoni, said these might be some of the best barrel finish we've had. We'll see. 123.7 proof. Yeah, that's what I got. So this is kind of fun, though. They finished these. How are these Kelvin collabs? Yeah, so, Bourbon Baller says, I hope Heaven Hill knows how to whiskey. They sure seem to. The Kelvin collabs overall have been oakier than I would prefer, but that's not that surprising because Kelvin is a cooperage, so they can have an oaky flavor. Overall, though, they've been really unique. Could there be a better pecan pie than over a campfire? I don't know, man. Maybe if it had it was in a blueberry patch, I might like it more. These are not Armagnac finishes. This one is finished in a cask that was first used for PX sherry and was then used for rum, which is a really interesting history of the cask. So, let's pour it out. Ooh, this one is like noticeably darker. This is the darkest one. This is the darkest one yet. Come on, focus in on that. Focus in on that. Yeah, buddy. Look how dark that is. Look how dark that is. I love it. I love it. I don't love it. Okay. Now, what I do like about the nose is that I get a lot of blueberry. Get a lot of blueberry, a lot of blackberry. Tons of honey. Caramel corn. A little bit of brown sugar, light brown sugar. Maybe a touch of molasses. There's a little bit of bitterness and super sweetness in the nose that are kind of like background. Maybe a touch of molasses. The darkness, that's right, the darkness. Twin brother darkness. Isaac says, so you got to oxidize the pour in order to bring the fruit out. Sometimes. Sometimes there are pours that you got to let sort of breathe in the air for a while to get the fruit notes out of them. And some pours, you got to get them super condensed to get the fruit notes out. So it really does depend on the pour. But I do want to say one thing about oxidization because Isaac brought it up. So oxidization is actually a chemical reaction with the air where oxygen causes an actual reaction. And a lot of people say that whiskey oxidizes, and I'm not convinced that's actually true. I think that whiskey doesn't interact with the air so much as it loses proof. The alcohol evaporates, and the characteristics of the whiskey change as the alcohol evaporates more and more. Now, there may be some disagreement on that. And maybe somebody can provide me with scientific evidence that shows I'm wrong. But the only actual scientific evidence I've seen on this suggests that oxidization, as we know it, doesn't happen. There are other chemical processes. It's not oxygen interacting with the whiskey. Oxygen is in the barrels with the whiskey that's aging, and it doesn't go bad. So, take that for what it's worth. That's my soapbox for the night. I always like to have a soapbox every night when I come on here and do a live stream, and that's my soapbox tonight. It's oxidization is a myth. Let's turn this off. This is annoying me. Go pay me money. Somebody buy me dinner. Somebody buy me dinner. Nate will tell you where my address is. Join my Patreon. Thank you, Isaac, for doing so. Okay. Yeah, so you have to breathe in a lot slower with the 12. If you breathe in super slow, then the PX sherry combines with the rum and gives you tons of fruit. You get tons of raspberry and blueberry. But if you breathe in as quickly as I was breathing in on the 4, the 6, and the 9, it just becomes all alcohol. Which is interesting because it's not higher proof than these other pours per se. Bourbon Baller says, I feel a soapbox moment coming. That's a light soapbox, man. We need another one. Everybody's waiting for me to get on a soapbox. You keep this up and I might do it. I might just do it. I might start talking about the mortgage crisis or some bullshit. Or foreign intervention by our government. That one will really get me in trouble. I better shut my fucking mouth on that. Yeah, that PX sherry, I would say of all 4 of the pours, the 12, the Kelvin 3, is the one where the finish is the most prominent. That sherry, PX sherry, really shows up. And if you've never experienced the difference between a PX sherry and an Oloroso sherry, I highly recommend that you get a pour of each and pay attention to the sherry. Honestly, if I was in your shoes and you never experienced that before, I would get a whiskey that's regular, a similar whiskey, same company or same brand ideally, that's PX sherry finished, and then the same company or same brand that's Oloroso finished. If you can't do that, then do unfinished PX on one side, unfinished Oloroso on the other side, and pay attention to those differences because they will show up. Matter of fact, one of my patrons, Uncle Dave, just mentioned he needed to do a regular versus sherry finished because he didn't really think he knew the difference. You side by side those things, and I tell you, I promise you, you will see, oh, damn, the sherry did this whole thing to it. And you'll start to learn that the PX does something different than an Oloroso. I tend to prefer PX on average. And that's because it's sharper, it's a sweet and sharp nose, and for me, the Oloroso is a lot more grapey. Trev says, Sealbox screwed me over and trying to say they didn't ship to Ohio when batch 12 was in stock. I couldn't get one. But then after it came out, there was a site malfunction, they said. That sucks, man. Brian Toner wants a slow fire. Me too. I want a slow fire. Yolanda's bringing me something.
It's snack time.
It's snack time. We'll visit that in just a moment. What the shit is this? God damn it. So if you're new to the live streams, when I get near the end of the live stream or the end of the sort of planned, structured tasting, Yolanda will bring me snacks because for some reason people like watching me eat. It's mukbang time. If you don't know what a mukbang is, Google that shit. But I like to do whiskey pairings with the food that I'm eating. And so she likes to bring me terrible, awful food like salty licorice that I have to pair with a drink.
And I try to make requests happen.
And she makes requests happen. If you've got a request, join my Patreon, send me a Venmo at The Drink Pro, and make the comment on your Venmo what you want me to eat.
The black licorice was a request.
Yeah, so if you've got a request, Venmo at The Drink Pro, send us a donation, and let us know what you want me to make a pairing with. What kind of nonsense food am I trying to pair with something? And if you say surströmming, I will not do it. I'm not going to pair anything with surströmming. And if you don't know what surströmming is, don't look it up.
Also, I can't guarantee when it will be, because the point is he has to be surprised. He can't be thinking about what he's pairing anything with.
Bourbon Baller says, sweet pour, I'll take a Derringer any day, solid bottle for $7.75. Yeah, the Derringer is actually really solid. It's one of the best offerings coming out of Rabbit Hole. If you don't want to pay $1,500 for a bottle. Yeah, the Derringer, definitely worth picking up. Double salted licorice smells like a horse barn, said Brian Toner. That's awful. I hope this doesn't smell like a horse barn. Brian Toner also said, yeah, I think I'll get some good sherry varieties to have on hand. Definitely worth doing. Trevor says, Kyle is dang good at finding a whiskey with nonsense food. Honestly, my second whiskey my second whiskey tasting that I was hired to conduct, mostly contained nonsense food. That was the food pairing, was mostly nonsense food. And part of it was because I wanted to do non-perishable items because pandemic. So it was fun. Let's taste this thing. This thing's super weird on the nose. Wow. So, man, the Kelvin 3, the batch 12, is my least favorite. At least on this initial tasting. Before I do this nonsense food pairing, I'm going to go back and taste all four again. But on my initial tasting, this Kelvin 3, which is batch 12, it was the shortest finish, it had the least complexity, and it wasn't really in my wheelhouse in terms of flavor. So let's taste it again. Maybe that was just a fluke. It wasn't a fluke. There's too much sharpness from the rum. There's too much like bitter grape skins from the sherry. bitter, lots of bitter oak in the mid palate. It just kind of numbs your tongue like a Szechuan peppercorn after the mid palate. There's a nice like cinnamon sugar at the very finish, but honestly, like, not my jam. Let me add a little bit of water to this. Just a wee bit of water. I'm going to go with 2 drops. Just a wee bit of water. Stir it up. Try to open it up a little. It didn't make the nose better. It actually made the nose much weaker and worse. Yeah. Okay, let's taste it. Yeah. The bitterness is too prominent. And it's not an oaky bitterness. That's an important distinction. Oaky bitterness to me is much broader and something I'm less bothered by. This is sherry bitterness. The PX sherry bitterness, it's like the bitterness of just eating grape skins. Imagine you take all the skins off a grape and then you just eat all of those. It's going to be bitter. Like that kind of bitter. Yeah, I straight up don't like that. Now, Nate says our palates are different on this one. They might be, but also worth considering is that I've had 3 other 4-gate products before this. When you line up 4-gate products, or any brand of products for that matter, you develop an expectation of what that kind of product will taste like. In this case, they're all either straight up Barton finished or they're Heaven Hill and Barton finished. So you're going to develop an expectation of what that profile is. And this is outside of that profile in ways that I really don't prefer. So, here's what I'm going to do. Well, first off, what I'm going to do is take all 4 of those, blend them together with that tiny pour I gave myself of B520, and then we'll drink it while I take a snack break and try to figure out what the living hell I'm going to do with salted licorice. We'll put that aside. And now we're going to put the rest of these pours into the glasses. And just, maybe not the rest of these pours. That's a lot of whiskey. So we're going to put a little bit more of all of these whiskeys into the glasses. Oh man, I've almost killed this. The batch 6 went away quick. And what I'm going to do is nose it once and taste it once and give you my ranking on each of them. And maybe some general notes. If you've been watching the stream, you saw my notes. You know what I liked and didn't like about these. So I won't spend much time on that. This is really about which one I prefer and if anything stands out to me from tasting them side by side by side by side. And I'm not going to add any water because I want the straight truth on these. The question is, would you pay $180 or $200 for any of them? Well, we're going to answer that question as well. Here we go. Let's smell a 4 and taste it. Four is much sweeter front of the palate. Mid palate gets super bitter, oak bitter, dry bitter. Okay. Well, it's no surprise why the number 6 is gone. It's meaningfully better than the batch 4. It does have a little bit of bitterness, but it's got a lot more complexity. It's sweeter. It's got more fruitiness. Wow. Really complex finish. Really complex finish on that batch 6. Wow. So much going on. That thing has oscillated between 3 or 4 flavors for 10 or 15 seconds on the finish. Wow. Okay. Batch 9. Oh, let me smell it first. Man, that Heaven Hill shows up. Okay. I like that a lot because I like Heaven Hill, but it's boring. That's boring. After that 6, that one's boring. 12. Smell it. Taste it. Interesting. So when I really back-to-back the 9 and 12, the 9 is a weak spot for me. The 12, you have to... Okay. Some whiskeys benefit from being drank slowly, and some whiskeys benefit from being drank quickly. The Kelvin 3, which is the 4-gate batch 12, benefits from being drank quickly. If you throw it back, it actually drinks much more pleasantly than a wee nip, which is how I typically do tastings. And part of why I like to do this style, where I taste every one individually, nitpick super close, and then go back and go bam, 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 is for that exact reason. Because when you drink them quicker, you learn something about it. For instance, I like the batch 6 a lot more in a quick drink. I dislike the batch 9 comparatively in a quick drink. And the batch 12 really shows up. It really shows up. On the whole, I think I'm going to say my favorite of the 4 is batch 6. And I'm also going to say batch 6 is the only one of these 4, batch 4, 6, 9, and 12. Batch 6 is the only one that I personally feel is worth between 180 and 200, which is Nate's question. And I think it is an important question for this stream. The only one of these 4 that I personally would pay 200 for is the batch 6. Everything else between 100 and 150, depending on the pour. But that batch 6, that's worth 200. Joe Groan got the batch 12 for MSRP. Kroger in Frankfurt on the outer loop for 180. Split stay for 150. And the Tennessee Redo bottle for 133. I did not get a chance to try the Tennessee Redo bottle. I would love to try that one, but I didn't get a chance to try it tonight. Bourbon Baller says, Heaven Hill for me is oak, dark fruits, vanilla, pepper, caramel, pretty classic bourbon. I would agree, Bourbon Baller, with the only exception being my personal palate gets a particular nuttiness from a lot of Heaven Hill products. I also get all of the things you mentioned, but the sort of iconic Heaven Hill note in my palate is nutty in a particular way, which is hard to explain without just sitting there and tasting it. Let me taste the number 9 here. It's like peanut shells and almonds. Well, I've killed almost all these samples, which is too much whiskey, but I don't work tomorrow. I'm just buying a house. Who gives a shit about that, though, right? Yeah, I would say first place is the batch 6. It's also the only one I think is worth $200. Could I kill that little sample bottle right now? But second place, big surprise, because when I first tasted it, I did not like it. But on the quick tasting, the batch 12 really showed up. So I'm going to say it ties with the batch 4 for my second place pour. Because again, on the re-tasting, batch 4 really showed up. So I'm torn between 12 and 4. Batch 9, I liked more on the initial tasting, going through it slowly. But over time, on the palate, it started to degrade and become less and less interesting. It's a good Heaven Hell taste, but it's not interesting. And for me, if you're paying $200, it needs to be an interesting pour. So I think batch 9 loses. Sorry, Akeem. Maybe I can come over and you can prove me wrong with some of that Michter's 10 rye. Okay. Oh me, oh my. What's going on in the chat here? Trev loved batch 6 so much he got another from Gaze a couple weeks ago. Glad I liked it. Yeah, if you wanted to sell that other batch 6, let me know, Trev. Alright. God damn it. Let's fucking do this. Ugh. I also have some nice cheesy puff snacks, but we're going to pair that second because this is going to be much harder. Okay. I don't love black licorice, just so you know. And this is salted black licorice, so... Look at this. This just looks like poison. That's not food. Food is not this color or shape. Our ancestors would have looked at this and gone, don't eat that, that's freaking tar. Mike McAllister in the chase says, so way late, but what's the verdict on 4-gate? Mike McAllister, I had a 4-gate batch 4, a batch 6, a batch 9, and a batch 12. The only one I thought was worth $200 was the batch 6. Everything else was between 1 and 150. And second place was sort of a tie. On the initial tasting, I would have said batch 4. On the sort of quick finish at the end of the tasting, back to back, I would have said batch 9, batch 12. Batch 9 lost a lot of clout over time. It degraded. It was initially very Heaven Hill forward and quickly lost its profile. So here we go. This is the salted caramel, or salted licorice. It is gross. This is fucking gross. Why? Ugh. Ugh. Why would somebody voluntarily eat this? This is fucking disgusting. Of course Mike requested black licorice. You just want to watch me suffer, Mike? Are you happy? Oh, God, that's fucking awful. God damn it. Ugh. Well. Horse forward, Brian says. God, that's terrible. Oh, I don't have any rhetoric bottles, Mike. I'm going to try Noah's Mill because I always get a bunch of licorice from this. And so if there was ever a bottle that would pair with licorice, it's licorice. So I'm not going to eat another one of those because the taste is so prominent in my mouth that, oh shit, I just spilled. Man, I am just a spilling fool today. Spilling things all over the place. Not that I'm particularly brokenhearted about spilling this bottle, which is not my favorite. I think I told somebody that they could just straight up have this bottle if they came and got it, but I don't remember who it was. Oh, the taste of that salted licorice just lingers, so we're not going to take another bite. We're just going to drink this. I mean, it made it taste like grain water, which is a lot better than what it tasted like before. Ugh. No. That just doesn't work with anything. That's just garbage whiskey. Somebody come buy this from me. Or trade me something for it. It's terrible. Mike asked for the wasabi piece too. If Mike wasn't such a good, devoted patron, which you should join, patreon.com/thedrinkpro. If he wasn't such a good, devoted patron, I wouldn't entertain his ridiculous ideas. This is awful. Okay. I gotta find something else that will pair with this. Let's get serious now. Let's get serious. Let's try to pair this. This is IKEA's Ludag's Goodness. Salted black caramel, which I already don't like, or licorice. I already don't like black licorice. And they put salt on top of it. Why? Whose broken ass mouth is this for? God damn. God. Yolanda's cracking up. She must. I don't know if she's watching or not, but I think she fucking loves this. I gotta agree, Bourbon Baller. Mike McAllister was the one I promised the Noah's Mill. I knew it was somebody. Mike McAllister said, I picked up a bottle of Rhetoric, H. Derringer, Treaty Oak, and BT Kosher this week. That's a good week. You're no joke, man. That Derringer, you'll like that. Pork butt with star anise and a rub always works. That's why Nate wants me to try something meaty. I've got something meaty. This is sure as shit meaty. Oh, God. This is just... If this doesn't work and I have to eat another piece of this, I'm going to be so mad. Joe is in the chat. He says, I found a Blood Oath 7 today for $120. The 6 was amazing. Congratulations, Joe. I have not had the batch 7. I would love to try it. If you want to send me a sample, I wouldn't be mad about it. But... yeah, I've heard, I like the batch 6. The batch 6, when I tried 4, 5, and 6, I got a video out there somewhere, but when I tried 4, 5, and 6 side by side, the 6 was my favorite, so I'm very curious how batch 7 went. My mouth is just really not in a happy place, so let's see if this Offerman can't fix it. Nate might be onto something. All right. Nate, my brother, you are right. So, if you have not had the Nick Offerman Lagavulin edition, it's an 11-year Lagavulin. Obviously, it was based on the fact that Nick Offerman really blew up in his fame from Ron Swanson on Parks and Rec, who always drank Lagavulin 16. But Lagavulin 11 is the meatiest Lagavulin I've ever tried. It is super duper steak and ribs. Obviously, there's some smoky sweetness, which is just Isla standard, but the meatiness is higher than on any other pour, and it neutralizes the anise in the black licorice. And so what you get is sweet, salty meat. I don't hate that. That makes that almost palatable. Look at that. Nate being right. Trevor said it. Nate was right for the first time in his life. It might be. Oh. Good Lord. Good Lord. Oh. Okay. I want to get these just away from me. I don't even want them near me. Yuck. Why is this even... Why does this product exist? Speaking of Sir Strong. Yolana's cheering me on in the chat. Okay. I gotta get all this black licorice out of my mouth. It's gross. Next up, we've got white cheddar cheese puffs. They are actually Cheeto brand cheese puffs, but they're the natural version, which I don't know what that really means. So much better though than that salted nonsense. I'm not boo-boo, okay. Oh, that's so needed. By the way, if you have any questions for me, any thoughts, any concerns, any grievances, throw them in the chat. Ask me whatever. Throw them in the chat. I'll answer it. Joe hasn't cracked the 7 days. He's got too many bottles open. I feel that. When you do crack it, let me know. I feel that struggle for sure. What did I pair this with? You know what? It's real salty. Obviously cheesy. This needs something that's like bready. This needs something bready. What do I have that's bready? What do I have that's bready? What do I have that's bready? Gotta find a bready port. Bourbon Baller says Ardbeg. Not happening. Not Ardbeg. No way. Oh, you know what? You know what? I got one. Now, this isn't particularly bready, but New Riff Single Barrel. Now, this is the Rural Inn Single Barrel. And the note that made me think this would work is the notes are orange peel, vanilla bean, and charred oak lean into a cornbread and mixed dark berry sweetness. So I think the cornbread is going to pair well with the corn Cheeto. So let's try it out. Bourbon Baller said Ardbeg. Well, maybe. We'll try that later. Brian said Irish. Definitely not from the limited Irish selection I have. Mike says, now I'm the administrator of a bourbon society. That is a great week. Nate says white cheddar with a sherry finish. That could work. No, not quite. Bourbon Baller said get a good rye. I'm going to do that. Hey, Yolanda. Can you grab the Wild Turkey Rare Breed Rye from the top right cabinet in the kitchen?
It's gonna be a minute since I was upstairs.
That's fine. Paint Doctor, I have not tried Copper Tongue. I would love to try Copper Tongue, but I do not have a bottle or a pour of Copper Tongue.
Which Wild Turkey?
The Rare Breed Rye, please. Mike McAllister says, wine. You say, do you have a Chattanooga port finish? I do not. Joe has said, does anybody have the Discovery Series 1? I found a dusty of it and got it MSRP. Just bought it because it was like 2 years old, hoping I didn't waste my money. Joe?
Do you need more cheese puffs?
Yes, please.
I need the plate, please. I'm not bringing you the bag because I know the bag will disappear.
Okay. Thank you. Joe, I got you, brother. Paint Doctor says, good to see you tonight. Good to see you too, my man. Discovery Series 1. Let's find out if you wasted your money. Sweet up front. Nutty oaky mid palate. Bitter oak and chocolate finish. There's your 50,000 foot view. I think it's worth having. Depends on the price.
There's a mystery sauce smiley face.
Oh man, it's sriracha. Yolanda made me a mystery sauce smiley face, and I smelled it and knew it was sriracha. Joseph Magnus with a cheese, that might work. I don't have any Magnus bottles. I do have a cigar batch sample somewhere, but I don't really want to hunt that down. I think the rye might be a good pairing. Nate says, what about Bellmead XO cask strength? If the rare breed rye doesn't work, I might try that. Trevor, I don't think batch 1's better than batch 5. I have had batch 5. Batch 5 is not my favorite. Batch 4 is my favorite thus far, but batch 1 is not as good as batch 5. It's close, though. Mike McAllister says, just pair Pappy 23 with it. That's the answer. Well, yeah. You know, Mike McAllister, if you want to send me Pappy 23, I will happily pair it with whatever you want me to. If you send me Surströmming and Pappy 23, I will happily do that pairing. Isaac didn't realize he was minutes behind. Yeah, you're behind, Isaac. It's okay, buddy. Bellmead, yeah, I already mentioned the Bellmead XO cast strength. I am winning. Hashtag winning. That's true, Isaac. Cheers, Brian. Cheers, buddy. Double corn fiesta. Trevor, yeah. Paint Doctor recommending Muckety Muck. Absolutely. If you've not had the Muckety Muck, I can't recommend it highly enough. It is a single grain scotch. I think it's 24 years old, which is pretty old. But what you need to understand is that if you're not a scotch person, you need to check out single grain scotch. Single malt whiskey is 100% malt grain. Single grain is not 100% malt. It is 100% something else. So it's going to probably be more akin to a bourbon or something you're more familiar with. And I'm telling you, that Muckety Muck is something special. All right. Let's have these Cheetos with this Wild Turkey Rare Breed Rye. Cheers. It's too bitter. It's too bitter. Doesn't really work. I need something that's sweeter than you'd expect. All right. We're gonna try the Bellmead cask, the cognac finish, the XO. The cognac might just do it. Might get me there. This is a Bellmead Select Cask XO single barrel, 57.55%. This, I believe, is actually the bourbon enthusiast pick. Yeah, Trevor, if you see the Muckety Muck, hit me up and let me know the price point, because if it's at the right price, you should definitely buy it. Shiny Barrel, says Yolanda. I might try Shiny Barrel batch. That's worth trying at the very least. Mike says he loves everything Orphan Barrel puts out. I guess it was built for my profile. Orphan Barrel makes some cool stuff. I really want to try Copper Tongue. I haven't gotten the chance to. Somebody send me a sample of Copper Tongue. Somebody send it to me. I'll definitely try it. All right, here we go. Nope. Doesn't work. It's too sweet, and it contrasts with it in an unpleasant way. Nate says, I'd split Muckety Muck with you, too. Oh, yeah, I would, too. Paint Doctor says, best drink I've ever had. I'm glad you like it, man. I got a good feeling about the Shiny Barrel batch, though. Maybe because I trust my baby. Maybe it's because my lady understands. I don't know about Muckety Muck at $2.65. That's a high price, but I don't know what the regular price is. It's probably $2.50 or some bullshit like that. I think when I saw it, it was at $2.25, and I didn't pick it up, and I really regret doing that. This is the Shiny Barrel batch. It's 124 proof, 6 years, 5 months, 1 day, and I'm going to do something that I don't normally do. Since I've got this fancy-dancy dropper out, Country Ham's not a good call, Nate. It's going to be too sweet. I'm telling you right now. Let's get this fancy-dancy dropper going and drop a couple of water drops into this. I'm actually going to do that again. A couple more water drops into this Shiny Barrel batch, because I think 124 proof is too high for what we're doing here. And, you know, people love to drink proof and like be like, oh, I love it, it's so high proof. Like, high proof is valuable to a point, but proof matters contextually. Proof, when you're drinking things that are high proof, is really good. When you're drinking things that need the sharpness, high proof is really good. When you want subtlety, when you want nuance, when you want to be able to taste something and come back to the whiskey, proof is not always your friend. So don't let proof hounds tell you that proof is the end-all be-all. Bourbon Baller says, oh boy, here comes the Garbaggio Bookers. All right. We're going to go 3. 3. Here we go. Man, it doesn't work. Nothing works with this. All right. Paint Doctor's checking out. Have a good night. I'll catch you next time. All right. Cheers, Paint Doctor. Proof hounds, you mean the Moonshine Boys? No. Joe says he saw Muckety Muck for 500. That's too much. That's too much. Half that. Yeah, half that. 225 says Nate. That's right. All right. Y'all don't know what you're talking about. I'm going to decide. I'm going to select something that'll work with these Cheetos because y'all are crazy. I'm sick of this. I want something that's going to work. I'm sick of this bullshit. We're going to find something that will work with this. Hey, Yolanda, come here for a second.
I can't be on camera.
You're not going to be on camera.
Okay.
These Cheetos are just bullshit.
Sorry, you're the one that bought them.
No, they're good. They're just bullshit.
What do you need, dear?
I need you to come here and stand right there, off camera,
Okay.
and tell them a story. Yolanda's going to tell you a story while I'm gone. So,
Why am I... Fuck you! Stop doing this to me!
here, just
Like, I am not... He's such an asshole. Why do I do this to myself? I'm buying a house with that fucking asshole. Every single fucking stream. He's lucky I fucking like him. This is nonsense. I was in bed. Minding my own business. I don't have a story for you guys. I'm sorry. The house we're buying is huge, but we can't seem to figure out what room we're doing what in. And so now we just have an empty, formal living room that we can't assign a task. I go back to bed now.
yeah. All right.
Mellow. Seriously?
Yeah, you can stick around if you want. This is going to work.
I mean, I was obviously watching the stream.
Oh.
Also, for future reference, Nate has been boo-boo for like months.
All right, I didn't know that.
You're boo, he's boo-boo.
We got all kinds of things in the chat here. Trevor, go buy that Muckety Muck. Let me know the price. Bourbon Baller says 500. That's a third of the price of Rabbit Hole 15. Yeah, that's some bullshit pricing. Isaac grew up in Ohio. He hates it. I don't blame you. Nate says same price as Redbreast 27. Far superior. Yeah, that's definitely true. Joe says never gave it a second thought. Doesn't like Scotch much anyway. Can't blame you. People don't like Scotch. If you don't like Scotch, though, single grain Scotch is the way to go. Because most people that don't like Scotch, they don't like malt. They don't like malted barley. Single grain is not malted barley, so check it out. Mike says story time with Yolanda. She just kind of complained.
Sorry.
And then everybody else said Yolanda. Okay. I'm thinking that mellow corn's going to work because it's corn. I've got corn puffs. I've got corn whiskey. So all I'm going to get after the corn cancels out is sugar.
And cheese.
And cheese. And who doesn't love sugar and fucking cheese?
Most people.
What are you talking about? Sugar and cheese is the combination that built the United States.
I mean, that's good.
Let me tell you something about sugar and cheese. First off, there are entire books written about the importance of salt and sugar. Sugar is one of the most important chemicals in the world. Sugar is more addictive than cocaine, and sugar is the backbone upon which all of American food is built. All of it. If you're buying American food, it's got fucking sugar in it.
If it comes in a box.
If it comes in a box, it's got sugar in it. And cheese, my God, the American government has subsidized dairy farmers to the point where we've been buying cheese and throwing it into a mountain. Literally, there is a mountain in the United States that is full of cheese because we've been subsidizing dairy farmers for so long and because we recognize that cheese lasts for a long time and it, too, is as addictive as many illegal substances. You wanted your soapbox, there it is. Let's eat some cheese puffs and drink some mellow corn that I've spilled all over myself.
You could have just had me get the mellow corn.
And that works.
Why didn't you just ask me to get the mellow corn?
I didn't know what I was looking for until I saw it. Mellow corn and cheese puffs. That is your ticket to fun in the trailer. These are both it's like $2 and $10. You have $12. You get a bottle of mellow corn and a bag of cheese puffs. You have a party in the double wide. I'm coming. I'll be there. I will bring you a dirty 30 and we're going to have a party.
Does it taste kind of like you're at like a county fair?
Mm-mm.
No? So not like...
It tastes like honey and cheese.
Well, I was thinking like...
Honey and cheese.
Roasted corn on the cob.
Honey and cheese.
Like
Trevor knows what I'm talking about. Trevor's that farmer. Trevor's got that farmer life. He understands those subsidies. He gets it.
Also, Trevor, yes, there's plenty of room for you and Nate. You can split a queen-size bed in our guest room.
Or one of y'all can sleep on the couch.
I think it's funnier to make them sleep in the queen together.
Can I have more cheese puffs?
No, you'll eat the whole bag if I bring it to you.
That's true. Mike says sugar also makes rum, and I like rum as well.
Do you want
Rum
some
is tasty.
potato chips?
No.
Do you want more water?
Yes.
All right, this is the last thing I'm getting.
Isaac says, I appreciate the drunk professor-like oration. Yeah, that is why people tune into these things. Once you get past about, Nate says dibs on the couch. Once you get past the 2-hour mark, it really does just become orated nonsense. So Isaac, this is the butter zone for you, man. After 10:30, it gets like this. Yeah. Isaac says, deriving sugar from carbohydrates is important. Consuming sugar and deriving alcohol from it is not as important. It's important to me, man. Oh, man. Well, do you guys want me to taste the nightmare blend of 4 different batches of 4-Gate and a splash of Elijah Craig B520? That's what's in this glass right now. Look at the color. That's beautiful. Look at that color. You can see my face, my pretty face through it. Oh, it smells so good. Man, 4-Gate smells so good and tastes so not really great. I don't want that, but thank you.
Well, it's healthier than cheese puffs.
Well, I'm just going to eat nothing then.
Okay. Would you prefer a banana?
No, I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, here we go. This is the blend. I tell you what, guys, 4-Gate knows how to make a beautifully smelling whiskey. I don't know that I always agree with their tasting notes or their profile on the palate, but the smell of a 4-Gate whiskey is always really solid. So if you really value smell more than taste, I would buy every 4-Gate you can get your hands on. Every one of them. They're always phenomenal. Man, Nate and Trevor. These two motherfuckers. Alright, here we go. Let's taste the blend of the batch 4, 6, 9, and 12, along with B520. I might like that more than at least 2 of the 4 gates. It's not bad. Not bad. All right. We got 11 people that are concurrently, I should say, viewing this stream. So if you are one of those 11 people and you have not commented in the chat, you should comment. Say something. Say, hey, I've got a question for you. If you're watching this stream right now and you haven't commented, please consider commenting. It doesn't have to be profound. It doesn't have to be, unique or untoward. I hope it's not untoward. But just say something. Just let me know you're here. Let me know who's in the chat. Let me know who's in the stream. I'm happy to keep drinking this and talking nonsense and get on my soapbox and just really make a fool of myself. But I would love to answer questions. If you got a particular question about a particular pour, I would love to answer that. We had somebody ask about the Discovery Batch 1, and I gave them sort of cursory notes on the pour. Hopefully that was helpful for them. It's we're 2 hours and 10 minutes in. I've sort of done all of the things that I had planned for tonight. And, but I still kind of want to keep streaming, so I'm here. I'm here to talk. Let me know what you're thinking. Yolanda's booping me in the chat. Trev says, the problem I have when I buy bottles, I want to drink it. I work hard for the money, so I don't need to invest or sell whiskey, so I want a Pappy 15 to drink. Isaac says, Venus, thank you so much for that, Isaac. Yeah, the Pappy 15s are tricky. I mean, I just got one that I'm hoping to get for about $1,800. And this is going to be going into a tasting event that I'm going to be hosting. And, we're talking about basically like $70-$80 an ounce. And it's really hard to justify that. I think that the pour is delicious. I really, really like Pappy 15. But I also don't think it's worth that kind of money. Bourbon Belly got Pappy at MSRP, but the rabbit hole is the next unicorn. Trevor says, no use ending now. You're right, Trevor. I just got to come up with more things to say. And, when I'm many pours deep, it's a little bit more tricky than when I'm sober. I have all kinds of things to say when I'm sober. Yolanda says, since when is Rabbit Hole a unicorn? That's a good question, Yolanda. They have a couple of very rare releases that they've been doing. 15-year-old bourbons that are finished in, I think it's Minnesota casks. They're Japanese oak that takes a long fucking time to grow. So they have a limited release that is very rare, that's very expensive. That is I would call it a unicorn. I certainly am not comfortable paying $1,500 for it. Joe says, well, guys, I got to give COVID test to all my staff tomorrow, so I'm going to leave it up in the background. That's fine, Joe. You stay in the background. Isaac said, where are these viewers but also cowards? Show yourselves. That's funny. Isaac is shaming you. I won't shame you. I understand people are timid and shy, but I know Chris is out there. Chris, say your name, motherfucker. Good thing this is an 18 and older stream. I really enjoy a lot of elements of whiskey, but there's a lot of parts of Whiskey Tube that I don't particularly enjoy. And I am so glad that I've got a group of people that will join me for these streams. We'll, bullshit in the chat and just have a good time, share some pours, share some laughs. I thought a lot about how to monetize YouTube, how to make this channel something bigger than it is. And, don't get me wrong, I would love for more people to join these streams. I would love for more people to watch my videos. And if anybody you guys know it could be a subscriber, I would love for you to share this video with them. That would make my day. That said, the fact that we can get a group of people together, like Trevor said in the chat, we are a tight-knit group. The fact that we can get a group of people together and just have fun on a Thursday night is really valuable to me. And no matter how big this channel gets, I want to find a way to keep that tight-knit feeling going. And maybe that means doing smaller streams for patrons only, and then having people throw down $3 and be able to do patron streams more often than once a month. I don't know. But there's a lot of ways we can make that work. It's and you know, a lot of that is kind of depending on me being able to grow this channel. But yeah, like Trevor said, we don't need 700 people here to do nothing. These people are awesome, and I love talking to you every week. Absolutely. I love the engagement with the chat. I like the fact that I can pretty much respond to every message in the chat. But it's sort of a double-edged sword, you know, because to grow my channel, I really feel compelled to try to bring more people into the chat and into these streams. I think a lot of whiskey tubers are not as transparent as I would like them to be about the nature of their process. And a lot of people basically won't talk to you if you're not giving them super chats. Well, I can't do super chats because I'm not to 1,000 yet. I'm at 920. So send this to your friends. Get me to 1,000. But even if I get to 1,000, even if I'm able to do super chats, I am not going to stop responding to everybody in the chat. I think that's just not cool. I want to be able to chat with you guys. I don't do guests very often. I don't do the kind of content where I'm going to be avoiding or ignoring the chat very often. For me as a person, the whole point of this is to have the back and forth. The whole point of this, the reason I do these streams on Thursdays is so that I can talk to you and you can talk to me. I love it. I enjoy that. I think a lot of channels enjoy it less than I do. So thank you all for being here. And I hope you'll come back next Thursday. And if you're in the Patreon, I hope you'll come back on Saturday. Well, I'm going to do another one of these live streams and give away a couple of bottles. Patreon.com/thedrinkpro. Got to be always self-promoting. You got to do it a little bit. This blend of all four 4-gates along with the B520 is really nice. It's super sweet. A lot of nuttiness. More nuttiness than you'd expect. Nate says he does think guests could be fun. I mean, I enjoy doing guests, but here's the thing, Nate, is I'm unwilling to compromise my beliefs and my statements about the whiskeys to get guests. So if I'm getting guests, I don't want guests that work for distilleries because they have a vested interest in the quality of the whiskey and me saying good things about it. So I'm happy to have guests, but I'd much rather have guests that are already doing Whiskey Tube, or that are just friends of mine, or that are people that aren't monetarily benefiting from my review of the whiskey. Bourbon Baller says he's a member of my Patreon because the content is fun and the crowd is great. I really appreciate that, Bourbon Baller. Thank you so much, my man. I believe the same thing. That's the kind of thing I really want to keep pushing forward, keep being a part of this community. I really do. You know, on my Patreon, I say that it's you're part of the whiskey drinking community, and I really mean that, and I really believe that. You know, people reach out to me, they send me messages, and I like to reach back out to them. I respond to emails, I respond to text messages, I respond to Facebook messages consistently, because to me the community matters above almost everything else. Nate says he means normal folk guests. I would love to have more normal folk guests. As a matter of fact, I tell you what, I've got a buddy of mine. I'm going to do a Scotch video in the near future, a Scotch stream, because I've got a buddy of mine who doesn't want to be on a stream, but said he would do it if I was doing Scotches. And doesn't have a very refined palate. And I want to get him on a stream, and I want to get him talking about what he's tasting. And I want to, in real time, help somebody develop their palate. I think that would be as cool as anything I could do on a live stream. Is you guys can watch in real time somebody's palate growing and developing and changing. Come on, there's nothing better than that. Yolanda says, I'm a guest sometimes, but it's particularly hard since I started intermittent fasting. Yeah, it is. Yeah. I mean, my general verdict on 4-gate is that the nose is not as good as the nose is much better than the palate. There are a couple of 4 gates that I really like, but overall, it's just whatever. Yolanda says, "Oh my God, we needed you to do a stream with Papa Drink Pro." I assume you mean my dad, Larry. That would be really interesting. I'm not sure he'd be up for it, but I'd be willing to do it for sure. Nate says, "Or Mama Drink Pro." Yeah, my mother, Ann, she watches these streams. I would be very curious what her thoughts are about doing a stream. I would do a stream with my mother. She doesn't drink. She loves Diet Coke. That's true. Actually, Yolanda, she does drink margaritas. So if I put together a margarita, it'd be a hell of a live stream. I'll tell you that much right now. She's an interesting person, and you get a little bit of alcohol in her, and she gets pretty rowdy. So I'll never forget the time that her and I went to a Mexican restaurant, and I bought her a couple margaritas, and she was pretty lit, and we were having a grand old time. She was being ridiculous. You don't see that out of her a lot. She likes to pretend she's real, what's the word? I think she fancies herself very formally, in a very formal context. But if you get a couple of margaritas in her, she gets a little loose, a little wild. And I relate to that. And so when you get her in that state, it's pretty funny. Do a stream on the perfect margarita. Man, I could really talk about that. People make, listen. People make some really shitty margaritas, okay? I cannot tell you how many margaritas I've seen and had that were garbage, because people don't understand a margarita is not a complicated beverage, okay? You need 5 ingredients that I won't say here. I'll save that for a live stream. But you need 5 ingredients for a good margarita. And if you're trying to add a bunch of bullshit to a margarita, you're doing it wrong. For example, don't ever add any kind of like sour mix to a margarita. Unacceptable. But we'll revisit that later. Trevor says that we should do a live stream when Nate and I visit the Drink Pro Total Shit Show. I would be happy to do a live stream with you guys visiting, but y'all gotta actually come fucking visit. Trevor has a bad record of saying he's gonna come visit and not visiting. So, Trevor, you gotta actually come visit. We'll do a live stream. Yolanda would so use a cheat day for a margarita live stream. Well, it sounds like we're gonna do a margarita live stream. That's what I'm hearing. We may have to make that happen. I'm seeing a lot of support for the margarita live stream. I'm not opposed to doing that at all. As a matter of fact, one of the things I would like to do, and this is something I can do for my whiskey drinkers and something I can do for myself, is I'll make a sort of classic margarita and serve that to the people in the live stream, Yolanda and my mother, and then also try to come up with a cocktail that's similar to a margarita that is based in whiskey, and see what I can come up with. Nate is coming up with some kind of bullshit in this chat. A margarita is tequila, lime juice, Cointreau, salt, ice. 5 ingredients. Tequila, lime juice, salt, Cointreau, ice. Don't be adding simple syrup to my margs. Yolanda says, I think what we've learned here is that it doesn't always have to be whiskey. No, and my channel is not the Whiskey Pro. My channel is the Drink Pro. And my most viewed video is a cocktail video. So, I do a lot of whiskey content. I enjoy whiskey probably more than any other spirit, but I don't only do whiskey. I like doing other stuff too. I got so much whiskey in front of me. Speaking of whiskey, I can't drink all this shit tonight. What's in here? Oh, that's mellow corn. We're going to put that back. I kind of want to drink something I haven't drank before. Oh, you know what I'm going to do? I got a plan. All right, first off, whatever's in all three of these glasses is getting mixed together. I'm going to show you this on camera so you can see the kind of nonsense that I do for myself. So we're going to take this nonsense mix. We're going to put a coin on it. Shout out to I Drink and I Know Things. We're going to put a coin on it and put it up here. And then tomorrow, when I want to drink, I will drink that nonsense blend. And I won't be mad about it. But what I want to drink tonight, is this McKenna 10. Bourbon Baller says you should do a review on Cab Franc wine. I mean, I'll happily do that. I don't have any of that wine, Bourbon Baller, but you've got my email. Reach out to me. We can make that happen. I will happily do that review, for real. Nate says Cointreau is the same thing as triple sec, essentially. You're wrong. Get yourself a bottle of the freaking Decuppers triple sec and a bottle of Cointreau, taste them side by side, and tell me they're the same thing. Do that and tell me they're the same thing. They are not. That's like saying a bottle of Wild Turkey 101 and a bottle of Wild Turkey Decades are the same thing. Yeah, they're both Wild Turkey. They're both Wild Turkey. Come on. They're both Wild Turkey. They're both Wild Turkey, Nate. Hey, Nate. They're both Wild Turkey. They're both Wild Turkey. Let's drink some McKenna 10. Now, this is aged 10 years, 100 proof, bottled in bond. This is barrel 6760. It was barreled on 3/20/09, which is very close to my 19th birthday. Bourbon Baller gets it. Now, McKenna 10 really blew up after it won like Whiskey of the Year or some bullshit, but the problem was it won it based on a single barrel. Remember, McKenna is a single barrel product. And like any other single barrel product, be it Elijah Craig 18, be it Bland's, I don't care what it is. Single barrels are hit or miss. If you like the barrel, then you'll love the product. If you don't like the barrel, then you won't like the product. Single barrels are single barrels. I know that sounds stupid and obvious, but it's not obvious to a lot of people. People will taste one Blanton's and be like, oh, that's really good. Well, I can tell you for a fact, I bought my first bottle of Blanton's and thought it was garbage. And I was like, this is bullshit. Why would anybody like this? Within a week of that, I went over to a local bar that I really like, and they had Blanton's on the shelf. And I said, well, what the hell? I'll try it here just for kicks. And because it was cheap too, it was on sale. So I bought it, and I was like, holy shit, this is one of the best whiskeys I've ever tried. And it's because it's a single barrel. It's a single barrel product. Single barrel products vary importantly and meaningfully in the sense that you don't know what you're going to get. Some single barrels are amazing. Yolanda says, good night. Unlike this jackal, I have to work in the morning before we close on our house. Well, go to sleep, baby. Good night. Good luck. Oh, what am I drinking? This is the McKenna 10. Let's smell it. Let's give smelling notes first, then we'll give tasting notes. First off, I really like the nose. I mean, McKenna is Heaven Hill, if you don't know that. 10-year-old single barrel Heaven Hill. This particular barrel, 6760. Very sweet, very honey forward. I mean, this is really nice. This is really nice in the nose. It's subtle. I mean, this is a bottled and bond, so it's 100 proof. Which, honestly, I mean, I might get some shit for this, but I really like 100 proof. Like, for me, 100 proof is a pretty sweet spot. Like, between 100 and 110, for me, personally, is the sweet spot. Now, a lot of people will disagree with that. A lot of people like 120 plus, but I'm telling you, for me, it's 100 to 120. It's gonna usually win out. But this thing is super sweet. Very nice. A little bit of fruitiness. pretty nice. We'll get a little bit of blueberry, blackberry, honey. A touch of pistachio. Let's taste it. So, if you ever get the Old Fitzgerald, I've had the 9-year, the 8-year, the 12-year, the 11-year, the 15-year, and the 16-year. I don't know if they have a 10-year or not. I've never had it, but this really reminds me of the Old Fitzgerald. So, it would not surprise me at all. I mean, this is a lot of things going for it. It's a really solid single barrel. It really is. It really is. I've got a lot of notifications on my phone. Oh man. Bourbon Baller says rocks glass of 4-ounce Don Julio Blanco, ruby red grapefruit seltzer water, and fresh limes. My summertime drink. I drink like 8 of those a day. That sounds really good. You get some Blanco tequila, which is the white clear tequila, which I prefer. You add in some grapefruit seltzer and fresh limes. I mean, that sounds like a beautiful summer drink. So I totally get that. Yeah, I totally get that. I am a hungry boy. So I'm gonna order some DoorDash. Don't tell Yolanda. What the hell? Well, you know it's not going to work right because of course it's not. More selections required. I want everything. Go to my cart. I mean, this McKenna 10 honestly is better than a whole hell of a lot of the this McKenna 10 is better than a whole hell of a lot of the Heaven Hill products that I have had. And I gotta say, like, you know, it's it really kind of stands out to me. Again, it's a single barrel, so, you know, take it for what it's worth, because there's a lot of single barrels that are not very good, but this is really hitting me right. This is hitting all the right notes. So I got 6 people left. Do you have any questions for me? If you have any questions for me, throw them in the chat. There is no stupid question. There is no wrong question. I just want to know what you guys are thinking about. What are you thinking about? Let me know. Let me know what's on your mind. Let me know what's bothering you. Let me know what whiskey opinion you feel is ridiculous. Put it in the chat. Nate says he's had some real duds with McKenna. I believe it. I mean, McKenna is a real hit or miss product. Bourbon Baller says, if you want grilled grapefruit, add a nice smoky mezcal. That's a great point. That sounds really tasty. Nate says, what is the reason for this rye craze recently? Honestly, hipsters. You got to remember that what makes whiskey popular is not whether or not it's good. What makes whiskey popular is whether or not it's popular. And like Nate says, everybody is doing a rye pick, but rye is popular because hipsters like making Sazeracs. Hipsters like making weird cocktails with rye. People want to be able to get their hands on a whiskey that's old and unique. And bourbon's just having such a moment that, that people can't get their hands on it. So what's the obvious alternative? Rye. Nate says, is it like the IPA of whiskey? Yes. In many ways, yes. I think rye is the IPA of whiskey. I think another way of thinking about it is it's sort of like I think the IPA of whiskey is a good way of thinking about it. Bourbon Baller says, I'm after 4 roses, or Bourbon Baller says, I'm after 4 old, I can't read apparently, shit. I haven't had that much to drink. Okay. Bourbon Baller says, I'm after 4 roses, barrel strength rye right now. Killed a bottle with friends, need another. Yeah, I mean, I will say there's a lot of ryes out there, and this is kind of to Nate's point. Yes, IPAs and ryes are similar in the sense that they both have this moment. They're both sharp, they're both bitter, they're both hard to drink. People sort of fell in love with those elements of them, but I also think, like IPAs, over time, people learned that, hey, if we want to have mass appeal with these products, we got to weaken them out. And there are some ryes that are really great. Yes, Trevor just put that in the comment section. There are some really great ryes out there. Absolutely. There are some people making rye that are making good rye. And Bourbon Baller points it out, Old Forester. I would love to try the Old Forester Bale Proof Rye. I haven't yet, but I have tried the Old Forester Rye at 100 proof. And I tell you what, it's good stuff. And just minutes ago, half hour ago, I drank the Wild Turkey Rare Breed Rye, which I really like. It didn't fit with the Cheetos, but it's a really good rye. And so, ryes are having a moment in part because of the hipster appeal to them, but also in part because people are learning that, hey, you can make a really good rye that doesn't have the attacking sharp grain that ryes have, unfortunately for them, become known for. Let's drink some more of this McKenna 10. You can taste the 10 years on that. I think at least this particular bottling is oaky enough that it will satisfy your oak craving. But at least on my initial tasting, it wasn't particularly sharp. So that oakiness may be it may be something that is subtle enough that it won't overtake a pour. And then you can enjoy without feeling like you're overpowered by it. I mean, that's pretty tasty, I gotta say. Man, I got so many notifications on my phone. I'll have to deal with all that later. Oh, man. I gotta tell you guys, I'm really excited about this house. I've really been trying really hard not to let myself get excited about the house, because we got that first house, we got an agreed upon deal, and then the appraisal came in and it fell apart. The appraisal came in $50,000 below our offer, and it was a mess. And we couldn't find a number that worked. We couldn't make our finances work. Like so many home buyers, we were relying on the loan to work it out. And it was a real disappointment. It really affected me. It was very hurtful. And it really made me take stock of what I wanted and needed. But at the end of the day, the fact that our first house fell through was really a blessing in disguise. And here's why. The first house that we looked at buying, that we put an offer in on, it was move-in ready. But it was also sort of at the pinnacle of what it could be. The house was, in every way, the best it was going to be. And that's great if you aren't handy, if you don't want to make changes to the house, if you just want a place you can move in, stop thinking, and start living. But I like to consider myself handy. I know how to do a lot of things. I worked with my grandpa for 4 years, fixing and painting his fence, fixing concrete, doing roof work, doing wood work, doing floors, anything you could think of, really. I mean, with a couple of small exceptions. I didn't do any plumbing. I didn't do any electric. But you want licensed people for those anyway. So, I did all kinds of work on houses with him. And because of that, I feel like I can really tackle a lot of projects in a home, and I feel pretty confident in my ability to make a home my own. And so, yes, if we had bought that original home, we wouldn't have had a bunch of projects, but those projects might be good. They might allow Yolanda and I to make the house the way we want it to be. And this house we're buying now, that we're going to close on tomorrow, it needs some TLC. Not a lot. It's in good shape overall. But it needs some TLC. It needs modernization. And we'll really be able to make that house our home. Not only because of the state it's in, but also because it appraised the value we offered. So we're going to not have to go above the appraisal value, which is something that's very common in the market right now. Although I've heard it's going to decrease, but it's been a real difficult struggle to get where we want to be. And I'm finally starting to feel like I'm there, and we're there. And I'm so thankful. I'm so glad it's happening. There's so many good things happening with this channel and with my tasting career. Like I said before, if you have a tasting event you'd like me to host, thedrinkpro@gmail.com. You can reach out and we can set something up. I can send you a quote. I've done a couple of those now, and they've been incredibly interesting, fun, and a great way to build my brand. So, final pour of the McKenna 10-year. I said final pour, I meant final sip. It's a really solid... Where did I have this before? I guess I had it below. It's a really solid Heaven Hill product. I'm not sure I would put it above a lot of the other barrel-proof Heaven Hills, but it's a really solid Heaven Hill product. Oh man, I can see my... I gotta shave my head. I gotta shave my head. I can see my really prominent remaining hairline on the live stream. So on the left, I've got my live streaming app, and on the right, I've got the YouTube studio. And so I can see a delay. I can really see how much hair I have left. That's disappointing. Oh, man. All right. I've got one more pour in me. First person to recommend a pour in the chat that I have, sample or bottle, I will try it. First person. So if you know you want me to try something that you know I have, put it in the chat right now. And the first person to do so, I will taste that. And then we'll call it a night. And let me just tell you, that's valuable. outside just of the context of keep me on the stream longer, because I regularly do my reviews with zero whiskey in me. I don't have any whiskey in my system when I review almost everything. And the reason that's important is you can get sort of a clean profile on it, but it also is important because you are going to have your sort of clearest palate. And so you may actually find that you like something better with a less clean palate. Oh, we got some people responding. Bourbon Baller says, I've been lucky, never had a bad McKenna. That's great. I mean, I've only had a small handful of McKennas, and most of them have been good, but I have had a bad McKenna. So, Bourbon Baller said Pappy. Trevor said Stag Jr. Nate said Angel's Envy. Bourbon Baller was first. I don't have any Pappy, but what I do have... Where is it? What I do have is this. The 10-year-old Old Rip Van Winkle. And I love this stuff. I'm happy to take a pour of it for the chat, for the stream. 10 years on oak. I won this in a lottery. Very lucky, very happy I won it. I'm also not the kind of person that's going to hoard it away. I'm going to drink it. You can see how much I've taken out of it in the last year or less. All of the Van Winkle products, these are all wheated Buffalo Trace. They all smell like berries, which I love. Super sweet. Tons of like raspberry, blueberry, blackberry. Honey, that's the predominant nose. Oh! Some of that went somewhere. Now, I will tell you that when I've had this pour without anything before it, I get a lot more sweetness and a lot more berry. At this point in the night, the wheat is really showing up. And remember, this is 10 years old. So I get a lot of wheat, and I get a little bit of like minerally blueberry. It almost reminds me of Dickel in terms of that Flintstone vitamin vibe. I get a lot of that minerality. I get blueberry and minerals. It's sweet. It's got a long finish. A lot of blueberry, a lot of raspberry. Long finish. Bitter oak hits. Long, yeah, the finish is quite long on this. Trev says he would take an Old Rip over a Lot B any day. I would too. The fact the Lot B is lower proof really negatively affects it for me personally. When I did the lineup, and you can check the video, when I did the lineup of the 10, 12, 15, 20, 23, I strongly devalued the 12, aka the Lot B, because it was lower proof. It really stood out as less valuable. When you have a wheated whiskey, here's the thing. Lower proof is really valuable with whiskeys that are strong, in your face, prominent, aggressive. But you're talking about a wheated bourbon. Wheated is specifically designed to be less in your face and strong. So if you've got a wheated bourbon, you don't want it to be lower proof. You want it to be higher proof, specifically because otherwise it's going to fucking fall by the wayside. Yeah, super sweet, super blueberry. I'm surprised how grain forward it is. I think it's because I have had zero wheated pours before this. The wheat shows up. It really does. You can't avoid the wheat. It's fine. It's just prominent. Yolanda has come in. What's up?
I wanted to say good night.
Yolanda's going to say goodnight. I can't put her on camera because she's indecent.
Have a good rest of your day.
I will. Okie dokie. Yeah, good but sweet is a fair criticism, Bourbon Baller. I think for me, the big criticism is, like, it's sweet, but it's also very grain forward. It's sweet in a grainy sense. And to me, that's just not what I'm looking for. I don't want it to be that grain forward. So, that's I don't want to say it's a problem, but it stands out as something that the Van Winkle 10 has that other Van Winkles don't have. And if you go back, again, I recommend this, you go back and watch my video where I try the 10, 12, 15, 20, and 23. I try all 5 of the main line Van Winkle releases. Go back and watch that video, because initially I really liked the 10 year, and I feel like I move away from it. And a big part of that is because it's very grain forward. When you compare it to the 15 and the 20 and the 23, the grains are too prominent. I think the 15 really is the ideal form of Van Winkle. The 20 and 23, well, I don't know. I really like the 20 that I tried, but the 20 that I tried in that video was older, and it didn't have any of the Stitzel-Weller distillate in it, but it was old enough that it still might have been meaningfully different in terms of process or in terms of quality than the modern Van Winkle 20 year. Nonetheless, I think that the Van Winkle 23 is going to be oakier than my preferred profile. The 12 year is weaker than my preferred profile in terms of proof. And the 10 year, although I like it very much on a clear palate, after having some pours and some high proof pours coming back and lowering the proof to the Van Winkle 10, really brings the grain to the forefront in a way that I don't prefer. And as unfortunate as it is, you got to rely on your palate. The palate has to come first. What you taste, you got to trust it. And I really just don't think it's what I'm looking for. I just am now remembering that, I did the 4-gate 12, and Nate has provided me a picture of the 4-gate 12. The Kelvin collaboration number 3. This is batch 12, bottle 888. 61.85% alcohol. That was the pour number 4 in my sample lineup. That was the Kelvin batch 3. That was the one that I felt like... well, let's just taste it. I mean, after drinking that Pappy 12, this seems really sherry finished. Although, when I first tried it compared to the batch 4, 6, and 9 of the 4-gate, the sherry was pretty quiet. The finish is very short, no question about that. The finish is very short, but the front of the palate and the mid-palate flavors are very good. I think on the whole, I go 4-gate 6, 4, 12, 9, in that order. But it's hard to say, Should I revisit it one more time? Let me know. Put in the chat. In the chat, let me know, should I revisit the 4-gate one more time? If you think so, I will do it. But I want to hear from the people. I need the people to tell me. I need more than just Nate and Trevor to tell me to do it. Because those two motherfuckers will tell me to do anything. Yolanda's coming back downstairs. She should be in bed. She's walking the dog, and she looks at me angrily. I will let her walk the dog. Oh, man. Well, Bourbon Baller says, yeah. Trevor says, do it. Who else wants me to do it? Let me know. Throw it in the chat. All right. Somebody, I need 4 people. I need 4 people in the chat to tell me to do this. I've got 2 right now. I'm going to make a quick run to the restroom, and then I'm going to do it. Matt Reynolds says, LOL, do it. I prefer the Van Winkle 10 personally. It's good to know. But I'm going to run to it. Here we go. Okay. All right, we got enough people tell me to do it now. There it is. Phone Doctor 123 says do it. Nate says do it. Trev says do it. Matt Reynolds, I appreciate Matt being in the chat. I haven't seen him in a minute. Hey Matt, if you got $3 a month that you're willing to give me, throw it in the Patreon. Patreon.com/thedrinkpro. I'm buying a house tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm buying my first house. And all of the videos of me making that house a place where I can actually make this kind of content are going to go up on the Patreon. You'll be able to check out on the Patreon all the videos of me making a place for me to make whiskey content. So if you got $3 a month that you can spend to help me out, I appreciate it. There's better benefits for more dollars. You can get opportunity to get free whiskey bottles. You can get samples at the $12 level. All kinds of cool benefits. So please consider joining me. Patreon.com/thedrinkpro. And that's the end of my shameless plug. Everybody wanted me to do it, so we're going to do it. Here we go. One last time. Matt says, oh, wow, I'll do that. Congrats on the house. Thank you so much, Matt. I appreciate you, my brother. This is the old lady dog. This is Oreo. She's a 15-year-old mini dachshund. Can I have a kiss? Can I have a kiss? Thank you.
I was upset because she had 2 hours to tell me she needed to go out. And then after my shower and we were both in our own beds is when she decided, now is the time.
That sounds right. That sounds like Oreo. She's a little stubborn. I can't imagine where she got that from. We're cleaning out these glasses. We're going to do one more. We're going to do one more.
Did I leave my water in there?
No. Okay. We've cleaned out the glasses. We're going to do one more, side by side, by side by side. Ooh, one of those. Okay, wait a minute now. One of those is kind of smoky. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Where? Oh, no, my fifth. Oh, wait, hold on. Okay, we're gonna. A couple of these glasses clearly have had some smoky whiskey in them. So we're going to put them aside and grab some of my backup glasses that are up here. There we go. So that I can have no Isla influence on these whiskeys. So here we go. Batch 4. And again, if you haven't watched the stream, I will give you some details. So, 4-gate batch 4. That's the split stave version, which means it's 12-year-old Barton distillate, and it's been finished in a barrel that is split between toasted number 2 char staves and toasted number 4 char staves, half of each in the barrel that was used to finish the whiskey. Number 6. The number 6, oh, shit, I am completely out of the number 6. Completely out. Look at that. That was a 12-year-old Barton product that was finished in... that was finished in sherry. The number 9, put that back up here because sadly there's nothing to go in it. The number 9 is both Barton and Heaven Hill distillate, and the finishes are dark rum and Oloroso sherry, and then finally, you know what? I'm just gonna kill all these samples. We're just gonna kill them all. Trev's gonna take care of me. He's gonna give me more 6. I appreciate that, Trev. And then finally, the Kelvin 3, the batch 12. This is a blend of PX sherry. So it's 12-year-old whiskey. It's got Barton. I think it's got actually 9-year-old Heaven Hill and 12-year-old Barton. But it's finished in a series of barrels that were first off PX sherry, and then they were dark rum, and then they were used to age, or finish rather, this bourbon. So I don't have any more of the 6. The 6 was my number 1, but let's make sure that I feel the same way about my number 2. And we're going to taste them and nose them first, and then we're going to taste and nose them with some added water. This is the 4. This is the 9. And this is the 12. All right, let's taste them. Man, I tell you what. That 4-gate 12 became a lot more prominent on the palate. It really stands out as like super duper sweet. Ooh, big shout out to my buddy Matt Reynolds. Thank you so much, my man, for the pledge. I appreciate you. Thank you, my man. Ooh, Matt. You know what? Matt went for the yearly. Appreciate that. Matt's got some good things coming in his future. If you don't know, I actually offer a discount for a yearly membership. It looks like Matt is the first person to take advantage of that. So, good looking out, Matt. You know, I think that the 12 is surprisingly good on the palate. The 3 and the the 4 and the 9. I think the 4 is a little bit sweeter than the 9. Yeah, the 4 is a little sweeter than the 9. Matt wants that whiskey cocktail content. I got that coming for you, brother. That's coming. For sure. Yeah, the 4 is sweeter than the 9. The 9 is much more grain forward. But overall, you know, I was torn about this early on when I was first revisiting all 4 of the pours. The 6 is the clear winner. Don't get me wrong. The 6 is the clear winner. Trev's going to give me some more of that 6. I appreciate it, brother. But the 12 is actually becoming more and more clearly second place. You know, the 12 has a sweetness that neither the 4 or the 6 has. Yeah, it's got that sweet sherry, and then like cane sugar. Finishes a little bit bitter. That's the sherry. but then some nuttiness shows up. And then it's got a longer finish. Got the fruity finish, the grape finish. That's from the sherry as well. Nate feels better about his palate now. You're not wrong, Trevor. You're not wrong. So going from the going from the 12 to the 4, like, I don't know. I'm so torn about this. The 4 is beautifully sweet. So here's the difference. I've killed both of them now. The 12 has a wonderful, long, lingering profile. It's a blend of Barton and Heaven Hill, and you can tell. But it gives you that sweetness, that nuttiness, and then a long, lingering, oaky, nutty finish. The 4 is just, it's all Barton, and it's super sweet and fruity. You get honey, you get raspberry, you get blueberry all up front, right in your face. I think I don't know. I'm so torn about the 12 versus the 4. In my initial ranking, I said the 6 was first, 12 and 4 were tied, and then 9 was clearly last. I think I have to stand by that. I think I have to continue to say the 9 is clearly last, the 6 is clearly first, and the other 2 are just a really hard coin flip. I think if you want complexity, go with the 12. If you want sweet fruit nuttiness, go with the 4. The 4. So, for my personal profile, I would probably say 4 over the 12, which is not what I said moments ago. But, I've had like 10 pours in the last 3 hours, so give me a break. Oh, man. It's quite a night when I really do go and kill a bunch of pours like this. I mean, I'm killing glasses left and right. That's not normally something I do. But just felt right, you gotta go with the feeling of the night. I've been doing this for 3 hours. That's longer than I usually do it. It's 9, or it's not 9. It's 11. 11:39. I think I'm gonna, sign off for the night. Before I do, I'm gonna do one more drink. Nate says, yeah, 12 isn't bad, I didn't think, but maybe coming off 9, it's got funky. I think the 12 is pretty solid. Dan Kid 2 o'clock chugs. This one's getting close now. I'm getting a phone call. Hold on a second. Hello? Yes? What's up? Hello? Okay, that was weird. I'm going to take one more chug out of this Dan Kid. I'm going to be giving a bottle away of this on my Instagram at The Drink Pro. TheDrinkPro. At The Drink Pro. Giving a bottle of this away in the next week or two. Y'all keep drinking like professionals. Cheers. Ooh, yeah. That's good stuff. I like that finish. All right, guys. Keep drinking like professionals. Cheers.